Right, are we good? Are we live? I think we are. Hello and welcome back to the Women's Football Chat Live today. The Barclays WSL continues as we see reigning champions Chelsea take on Leicester City. Chelsea are 2 wins from 2, though last week against Aston Villa was far from comfortable. As for Leicester City, well, a tough start to the season against Manchester United was made up for by a surprise victory as they beat Liverpool 1-0 last weekend. So, should be an interesting one today. Chelsea definitely going into it as the stronger side, though, Harry.
Yeah, very much so, as you say. It's business as usual, really, for the champions. Still yet to lose a domestic game under Sonia Bompastor, which is an incredible record. But Leicester, they will try, and to be honest, they were one of the closest sides to beating Chelsea last season. Yes, that was away at the King Power, but it still stands, and it is a very different Leicester side in a very different situation with no more Amandine Mikel. But that being said, Leicester fans have got to be optimistic going into today because they've got every chance of coming away with a point at least. We saw how Aston Villa managed to sit deep and play good football and take the game to Chelsea, and that's exactly what Leicester have got to do today. Yes, they probably don't have the quality of a side like Aston Villa, but it will very much be similar principles in terms of Leicester will want to put players behind the ball and see if they can hold on and then nick something on the break because they have got some quality that can hurt Chelsea today. So it won't be plain sailing for Chelsea today, but I think that Bompastor and the fans especially will be hoping that it's going to be a lot more comfortable than it was last weekend.
Yeah, I think the first half, especially against Aston Villa, Chelsea struggled to get things going. So yeah, I think they want a more comfortable start to the game and look to really dominate. This is a game where Chelsea should be getting 3-4 goals, you would say. So yeah, this needs to be a big step up in performance and a much more commanding performance and victory. Let's start then by looking at the lineups for today's game. We are at Kingsmeadow, so we'll start with the host Chelsea. For Chelsea, it's a 3-4-2-1, and in goal, we'll start with Hannah Hampton. A back three with Bjorn Bright and Villa Berman's first appearance for Chelsea since joining last summer. Across the four, then it's Carpenter and Baltimore, the wing backs, with Cuthbert and Walsh in the midfield pivot. And then it is Macario and Captain, the two attack midfielders, and leading the line, Aggie Beaver-Jones. Do you think this could actually be a front two, potentially, Harry, today, with something like Captain dropping into midfield and then seeing Macario and Beaver-Jones as a front pair?
Very possibly. I think that it's an option that definitely gives Chelsea a bit more security that way in terms of turning it from a 3-4-2-1 to be more 3-5-2. And I think that will be something that we'll see throughout the game based on what Leicester are doing. But Chelsea, two strikers as well will massively help them to break Leicester down today and try and get through the lines. But it's a very, very good side. It's an opportunity for Macario to come in and play well. I'm surprised that there's only a couple of changes. I don't think the Villa performance was good enough. And with the squad that Chelsea have got, I thought we may have seen more changes to this starting 11. But Berman coming in, a big opportunity for her. And the right opportunity, you feel, against a Leicester side who have looked woeful in front of goal or lacked any kind of attacking threat in their first 2 games. Yes, they did beat Liverpool, but that was not through attacking threat.
That was their one shot on target of the game, exactly. I believe.
So it's one of those where I think that it's a good game for Berman to come in and get settled to the league. She'll have plenty of time on the ball, more time on the ball than she would usually up against some of the higher quality teams in the league. So I think it's good to see her come in. Chelsea, though, going to the back three, this looks to be the preferred system under Bompastor now. And it's going to be very interesting to see how it plays out. It worked brilliantly in Matchweek 1 against Manchester City. Went back to the back four against Villa and it wasn't as easy. So maybe going back to the back three today will be more beneficial for Chelsea and will hopefully get put in for Chelsea's sake be a much better performance than what we saw last Saturday. Because again, if they do drop the standards, then Leicester are the kind of side that can take advantage of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, Chelsea will bear that in mind, but also they'll be looking to see if they can impose their dominance. As for Leicester City, it also looks like a 3-5-2. We'll start at the back with Janina Leipzig in between the sticks. It's then a back three of Thibaut Burreal and Janice Kaiman. As the wing backs, it's Heather Payne and Asmita Ayer with a midfield three of Tierney, Van Egmond and McLaughlin. The front pair then Hannah Kane and Flynn Eriks-Dottir. So still, Leicester City missing Noemi Mouchon, but she is fit to make the bench. Missing Jutta Rantala, again, makes the bench. So their attack does look weaker than it should perhaps be, but overall, it's an interesting 11.
Yeah, it's one of those where I think for Leicester, it's a difficult one to work out because I think it's very similar to their first couple of games. I don't see much changing. I think they will be defensively disciplined. I think they will play pretty decently as long as there's no errors in there. It's set up well with the 3 back. We've seen Rick Passmore opt to use that and just try and put as many players behind the ball and then look to get forwards. But I think they'll defend well, and as a unit, it will more be like a flat 5 than more of a 3 back. But they'll try and get the wing backs up the pitch if they can. But as you say, in the front line, a lot of responsibility falling on Eric Stottir, falling on Hannah Kane to try and get something working today. Because if it's a Mushon and Rantala front 2, then suddenly on the counter, Leicester would look really, really dangerous. But again, that's no disrespect to Kane or Eric Stottir, but they don't carry the quality that Mushon and Rantala do. No. So again, it'll be interesting to see what they can get going. Obviously, O'Brien is suspended from last weekend. The goal scorer for Leicester that day was Van Egmond, but I'd be surprised if she gets involved in the game match today. It's going to be, in the offensive there. I think defensively she'll play a big part as part of that Leicester midfield 3. But when Leicester do get forwards, it's going to be about pace from the wing backs and then trying to get the front 2 involved. Van Egmond will probably be the midfielder out of the 3 that is trying to get forwards, but I think that she'll do well to find herself in a goal scoring position that isn't from miles out. So Leicester, it's all about discipline, it's all about attitude. They weren't good enough against United and were outclassed in that match. They were okay against Liverpool, so I'm really intrigued to see what kind of Leicester side we get out there tonight. It's midday, but
not even midday yet.
No, it's not even midday. It's been a long day already. But I think that it will be interesting to see how well they play, because if they play like they did against Man United, I fear it's going to be another long afternoon for the away side. They've got to be more defensively solid. And if they do that, then suddenly they could be on the money, because you get to half-time, you're still at 0-0, and you could grab something from this football match. But they cannot afford to fall apart so early on like they did against Man United, because Chelsea will just run right at that point.
Yeah, well, let's go through some of the thoughts in chat. If you're watching along, want to get your thoughts on the lineups ahead of kickoff, then get involved in the live chat. Chelmer, welcome to the stream. HB, welcome. Chelmer asking about Siok and Nusken. Let's discuss that situation. Nusken not in the starting 11 once again. Hasn't had much involvement this season for Chelsea yet. And hasn't really been a preferred option for Bompastor throughout her reign.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, because I think Nusken was a player that we saw a lot under Emma Hayes. Emma Hayes played practically every minute, but as you say, Sonia prefers the midfield composition that she's got. I think that you're also going to start. The problem is for Nusken is you're always going to start Kira Walsh because of the player she is. Look how poor Chelsea looked in the first half against Aston Villa without Erin Cuthbert. So I think you need her steel and her fight in there, and then Captain is the more forward, midfielder. But that one is the conversation for me between Captain and Nusken and whoever else you want to put into that debate. I think Cuthbert and Walsh are always going to be pretty much nailed on for the majority of games. So it's that debate between Captain and Nusken, and I think it's a really hard one for me personally. I really can't split them too much. I think Captain's probably better going forwards, but as we know, Shoka Nusken scores goals, and that's it at the end of the day.
Does score goals.
So it's a really difficult one, because I think that personally, I have no preference. You put Captain or Nusken in there, and I think you get pretty similar results. I don't think there's a massive difference between either player. So it's a difficult one, but I do agree. I'm surprised we don't see as much rotation between the two as we would potentially expect to see.
I think it's quite an interesting conundrum. I think the difference, the reason she was so useful under Emma Hayes is the reason she's not being played under Bompastor. Under Hayes, her versatility meant that she was always playing somewhere. If they needed someone at centre-back, Nusken would be there. Or she'd be playing defensive midfield. Or she'd be playing attack midfield. Or she might be up front. So she was always on the field somewhere. But I think with Bompastor coming in and reassessing the squad, Nusken, because she's very good in lots of different positions, but is she better than those starters in those individual roles? I'm just not sure. Like, if you look at the midfield pivot today, is she a better player? Does she fit the system, and is she a better player than Kira Walsh and Erin Cuthbert? Probably not. So it's a tough decision then to put her in over. Is she a better player? Is she better in an attack midfield role than someone like Vika Kaptein? Probably not. Is she a better centre-half than any of the centre-backs on the pitch? Probably not. So, yes, it's very useful to have those rotation players, but I think it's very difficult then to because she hasn't got a primary position to use her in that. You'd probably say her best position is defensive midfield, and she's very unlucky that is probably where Chelsea's biggest strength is, because Erin Cuthbert's undroppable. We saw what happened in the first 45 minutes of the game against Aston Villa without Cuthbert. And Kira Walsh is, I think, Bompastor is a huge fan of Kira Walsh, and you don't sign a player like Walsh to be put on the bench. So it's difficult. I don't think Nuskin is the kind of profile that Bompastor likes in a player, and it's difficult then to see her played over the options that Chelsea have in midfield. But yeah, catch-22, because she's a great player, but if she doesn't fit the system, is it worth sacrificing the system just to squeeze her in? Probably not. So I understand the rationale there from Bompastor.
Yeah, it's one of those where I think that the rotation is always a big problem at the very, very start of the season. But as the season goes on, it won't seem a problem. That at the start of the season with rotation, the choices are made purely off manager preference. Once we get into the season, rotation will come down to fatigue and fitness and who is ready to go, who can give it 110%, or who's playing Champions League and who's playing domestically. Right now, we're not into that phase, which is why we haven't seen. We also haven't seen much of Nuskin, and there's other players as well across the board for Chelsea that we haven't seen much of. But I think once the season's into full swing and once all 4 competitions are up and running, we're going to see the whole squad cycled through and used much more. So I think that it's one of those where we haven't seen Nuskin and players like and other players early doors. But as the season goes on, I think we definitely will see a lot more of Nuskin, and because especially in the midfield, because that's one of the main places that you see a lot of fatigue in. Because you cover the most distance on a football pitch. So I think it's definitely something we'll see Nuskin involved this season. But as you say, I think at the start it's just pure preference from Bompastor, and she prefers the midfield 3 that she's playing at the moment.
Yeah, as you say, there'll be lots of rotation. Champions League starts in under a month now, so yeah, there'll definitely be some rotation in the next few weeks, you'd imagine, with that in mind. And then I imagine it'll be very much rotating when you've got a game every few days, you've got to rotate. So I think that we will see more rotation later as the season progresses. And let's get into predictions then. If you're watching along, then get involved in the live chat. Give us your scoreline prediction. We're going to start here in the studio then. We'll start with yourself, Harry. What is your prediction for this game?
I think Leicester will give it a good go, but at the end of the day, I can't see past Chelsea. I think they've got the quality to put Leicester to bed here. I think it'll be, I'll say 4-0 Chelsea, but I think it'll be a close first half, and then Chelsea's quality will come through in the second half. And again, as Leicester City start to tire, I think Chelsea will bring players off the bench that really start to make a difference. But I'll say a Beaver Jones goal in the first half to give Chelsea the lead at the interval, but then it will be second half goals from, I'll go Baltimore, I'll say Macario and Guro writing off the bench to seal the deal for Chelsea. A 4-0 win, a pretty comfortable result, and to maintain the perfect start.
Yeah, fair enough. I was also going to say 4-0, but since I don't like saying the same thing as you on this show, I'm going to say, so either 3 or 5. I'm going to go up to 5. 5-0 Chelsea, a big victory. I think it's going to be a clean sheet. I think that Chelsea will be really keen not to concede today after conceding in both the opening 2 fixtures. I think they'll want to have a game here, especially given how poor Leicester have been in front of goal this season. I think they'll want to have a game where they do manage to keep a clean sheet. I think this will be harking back to a bit more like the start of last season, where it's 1 or 2-0, and then the last 15, 20 minutes, they really start to open Leicester up and have a lot more success. But there will be a moment's silence as well today. I think important to touch on the topic, because yeah, I think it was a shock to see hear the passing of Matt Beard last night. I think it's one that cuts quite deep because it was very sudden. But an incredible manager, an absolute icon of the women's game. And I'm glad that all the clubs today will be paying their respects. It's good to see Burnley and Liverpool's matches postponed as well, because it'd be unfair for them to play given the circumstances. But I think it's good to see them in its silences ahead of kickoff today in honour of Matt Beard. So yeah, we did put a message out on our socials last night. I saw a lot of lovely tributes from people who knew him. And yeah, it's a horrible situation, and it's nice to see all the WSL clubs paying their respects ahead of kickoff. But yeah, what a manager.
Yeah, exactly that. And I think there's a lot. The reason is, there's a lot of players out on the pitch and in the WSL 2 right now that owe their career to him. He put some of these players on the map and helped the game develop. So yeah, a massive, really nice moment to honour him, because he was a massive part of growing the game and developing some of the stars that we're about to watch in this football match.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he was Chelsea's first WSL manager. He then took a pay cut to be able to join Liverpool as a permanent manager, where he took a risk, risking his career, risking his livelihood to go and manage Liverpool. But he gave everything to the women's game. And I think a large part of why we are able to sit here today with the growth of the game where it is people like Matt Beard. So it's lovely to see him honoured. And obviously our thoughts are with his family at what must be an incredibly difficult time. But a lovely moment silence there, and we can get into the football. It's Chelsea versus Leicester City at Kingsmeadow. A few predictions coming in. Riley going 2-1. I saw an 8-0 somewhere as well. Lucky said 8-0. One hell of a prediction from Lucky there, but fair enough. Maybe we will see a few goals this afternoon, but we'll see what happens in this game. If you want to get a prediction in just before kick-off, then get involved in the live chat now, and we'll make sure to read that out before kick-off. But yeah, I think Chelsea will want to impose their dominance today. Obviously, Leicester, though, will be very keen to keep things tight at the back, try and make it very difficult to be broken down. I think one of the biggest things for Leicester this season is that their out-of-possession shape has looked really good. They have been quite difficult to stop and break down. So, yeah, we'll be interested to see how Chelsea deal with that. Shams in chat, we're giving updates from Brighton West Ham, so thank you for that, Shams. And we'll make sure to keep tabs on that game as well. But kick-off here at Kingsmeadow, delayed just a moment because the referee has spotted something.
Are we missing ball boys or ball girls again?
Why
I really hope
such a
not.
prevalent issue this weekend. Where have they all gone? But it's Kat Macaro from the middle, waiting for the referee's whistle. And she knocks it back, and we're underway in this game. It's Chelsea versus Leicester City at Kingsmeadow in match week 3 of this 25-26 WSL season. And it's Millie Bright on the ball for the Blues. Here's Berman. I think it's so important for Villa Berman to have a comfortable start to this game, be composed on the ball and not make mistakes, not rush, not panic. Just get into the game, ease your way in, and grow comfortable in a new division.
100%. We saw how important it was and how difficult it was for Naomi Gilmour on her first appearance, Brighton away, and she really struggled. And yes, Brighton are probably a better side than Leicester, but it's still the same principle of coming into a new division at a higher level. And even if you can look good in pre-season, but that first 90 minutes for your new club is always a difficult one.
Yeah, and Payne knocking that down the line. Something here for Eric Stottir to put pressure on, but that's really good play from Villa Berman to turn out of it and then ping a ball forwards. Beaver Jones brings it down nicely, needs some support. Leicester tracking back quickly, does find Baltimore, but her pass up the line is knocked out for a throw. Zeta, welcome to the stream. Good morning from Florida. Well, good morning. Welcome to the show. And while it's Chelsea in possession, Berman back to Hampton. Phil going 5-0 Leicester as well. So yeah, that's an insane prediction from Phil. But there we go. Van Egmond turns the ball over there, but it falls back to Brighton. Chelsea can settle back into possession. Berman.
I didn't really register that he'd said Leicester. I just had 5-0 and assumed, but no, Phil really going for the upset today.
Phil, I said 5-0 to Leicester or maybe to Chelsea. I can't decide. Fair enough.
Close one, to be fair.
Here's Bright. Onto Walsh. Now Bjorn. Who carries the ball forward well, looking for the forward run of Cup, and to cut out well, though, by Ale. And the ball bouncing around in midfield. Back now to Walsh. And now Bjorn. Bright goes back to Hampton. And now it's on the left-hand side with Villa Berman, who's going to look to play it in behind. Looking for the run now of Aggie Beaver. Jones putting pressure on the centre half. Lights it out quickly, though, and claims it well. Good defending from Celeste Burel, the new addition to that Leicester City back line coming in from Montpellier. And that a little overzealous from Natty Bjorn, trying to turn the ball over and concedes a free kick.
Yeah, it's been a difficult one for Leicester. Obviously, you lose a manager who managed to make this Leicester side so defensively solid. They also lost Howard, so there was a lot of work to do when Rick Passmore came in and with the new additions in defence. But
and Ruby Mace, I don't think you can understate how important she was in terms of their defensive structure.
And I think it showed in the United game that yes, they did get torn apart, but at the end of the day, that was the Leicester debuts for quite a few players, and Rick Passmore had only been in the job for a couple of days. So that one was a bit difficult to judge. I thought against Liverpool, although Liverpool were really poor going forwards in that match, Leicester did just look more comfortable. So I'm really intrigued to see how they play today up against a really strong opposition, but more settled now. Can they look a bit better defensively? Yeah,
and it's Leicester coming forwards here, no room, and it's deemed a foul. I think that was a difficult one there. It's a really nice burst from the Leicester City wide player there. Just runs into trouble, Hannah Kane. And there's so many bodies. She was always destined to hit someone. But Yeah, draws the foul nicely.
Yeah, if anything, it'd be a disappointing one for Cap Dean to give away there, because Kane's touch was too heavy, and actually she'd lost the ball anyway, but Cap Dean, wasn't to know that was going to happen, and just clipped her down. But Leicester started brightly, and that's important, because, as I said, they from minute dot, they were really, really poor against Man United, but they've settled into this game nicely, and in the opening first few minutes, they've been the side getting on the ball and looking to come at Chelsea.
And it's Sam Tierney over this then. Looks to lay the ball in towards the far post. Flicks back across, or looked to flick back across goal. Can't make the right connection with it though. From Burrell, and that is out for a Chelsea goal kick.
Oh, Tierney will be disappointed with that one, because that is a great ball in. Hung brilliantly towards the back post. It seemed to stay in the air forever.
That's T-Bow just misjudges it. Misjudges the bounce is a little higher than she's expecting. So rather than just cushioning it across the box, she flails it up into the air. Here's Macario. Nice control under pressure. Sprays it out to the right-hand side now with Carpenter. Cushions it back to Bjorn. Now Carpenter. And it's the first time pass back to Bjorn again. And the forward options, not plentiful for Chelsea. Leicester doing well to pen them in. Here's Bright. Now Berman. I don't think Kingsmeadow helps the way Chelsea want to play. Because it just looks... The pitch is so crowded.
Yeah.
Because it is a little smaller than a lot of the pitches will be in the WSL. Ball in behind. That's a well-timed run from Vika Katzine. She could look to play it across goal now. And as she drives forward, the lino changes her mind and decides there was an offside in there. Looked like Katzine may have judged it slightly wrong. We'll have a look.
Yeah, I think she was just
close.
off. Beaver Jones had held it on.
I think looks very tight.
Stupid angle.
But yeah.
But no, initially, she looked off, but yeah, that told us nothing.
The thing the lino's looking at is the defender she's running with, whereas actually, I think it's the defender on the far side, T-Bow, who may be ruling her on there.
Mm.
And here is Yuli T-Bow. Forward pass, looking to find Eriksdottir. Nice flick around the corner. Macario wins it back, though, and she beats two, and that's lovely from the American forward. Now Katzine, who is taken out there by Yuli T-Bow, deemed a fair challenge. That's out for a Chelsea throw. Ball down the line. Ale thumps it into the crowd. And that's back out for a Chelsea throw.
Better from Chelsea, getting the ball down, playing their football. And that's the thing. That's where the quality shines through. When Kat Macario does get the ball on the floor and start running at players. And that's what Leicester have got to be careful of, because they stepped up a little bit there and just panicked a bit, and everyone just kept running into Macario.
Here's Beaver Jones in the box. Not much space to use. Finds Kat Macario, who knocks out to the left-hand side. Here's Berman, who could strike this. Puts onto her right foot, now into cuff, but lovely combination. Falls to Beaver Jones. Chance for Chelsea. Goal for Chelsea. An emphatic finish, and Chelsea lead here. It's Chelsea 1, Leicester City 0. A bit of a defensive mishap. The ball bounces kindly, and Beaver Jones finds the back of the net with enthusiasm. Leicester will feel that's a little unfortunate. It was a bit of a confusing move. Brilliant from Berman to pick up a little bit of space. Finds Erin Cuthbert, and then from that, it's anyone's guess as to how the ball finds its way through to Beaver Jones.
It was incredible how everyone just stopped for Leicester, and Beaver Jones was just stood by herself. Brilliant from Berman initially to drive inside, and somehow Chelsea managed to work it to Beaver Jones, who does really well, but for Leicester, that is really, really poor. In a crowded area, how are you allowing Chelsea to poke it around like that? And
it's a tiny ball from Cuff, but it's really unlucky. I think it's Burrell in the back line, and it just goes through her legs there, and it falls for Beaver Jones, who is stood... well onside, by the way. It looks immediately you go, well, that looks dubious, because how on earth is Beaver Jones onside? But actually, because Burrell is in line and then steps forward when the pass is played, or after the pass is played, that's how Beaver Jones was onside there.
Yeah, at the end of the day, Burrell was the one who's played it through anyway. Beaver Jones could have been stood, where she wanted to be. But that again, that's about adjusting to the league. And I mentioned it. You can't defend flat-footed in your own 6-yard box, because if Burrell's on her toes there, she can get her foot away and clear that football. Instead, she's on her heels, gets caught flat-footed. It hits either one of her legs and runs through, because she's just stood there stationary. You've got to be on the move. You've got to be ready to defend in that situation. You're right in front of your goal, and it's very close to Chelsea going forwards. And just gets caught out. And again, it's that pace of the game. It's adjusting to the way the game's played.
Now, well, on the flip side, in terms of adjusting well to a league, Villa Berman looks really comfortable already. Yuli T-Bow, and she loses possession there. Didn't see Captain over her shoulder and ends up losing the ball. Chelsea then can't make anything happen, though, and it's a Leicester throw. But we saw there with with Behrman, just lovely control, composure in the final third, which isn't what we expect from Fiona Behrman in terms of the fact she's more of a defensive player. And then defensively there, some really nice headers. Just looks composed, looks assured of herself. Lovely combination for Leicester. Slightly misplaced though, and Walsh pokes it away, only as far as Yuli Tebow, who will look to keep this move alive. Ball outside to Heather Payne, who looks to cut it into the box, but it's only finding Kira Walsh, who can look to execute a ball in behind. Finds Beaver Jones in a pocket of space. Birrell's quick on her back, tries to find Baltimore, doesn't quite come off. And now Leicester have a chance to move this ball forward. Here's Janice Kyman. Beats one and then can't quite keep it in play. Seems to just run at Heather Payne there and ran them into trouble.
It's a really difficult one for Leicester now, because I like the fact that from minute one they've chosen to be aggressive. They want to come at Chelsea and they want to play football. But I think sometimes you also have to be a little bit reasonable, because now what's happening is that when Leicester do get forward, it's Beaver Jones is going to have opportunities to get in behind. I mean, Leicester there, Birrell was their deepest player and she's still on the halfway line, and that's really risky as a side when you are the underdogs in the match. And I get they want to come out and play football, but sometimes you just have to, as I said, be reasonable about it and say, okay, we are playing Chelsea. Maybe we should just put ourselves 5 yards deeper. It's the reason they conceded 4 at Man United. The problem is, if you're going to play aggressive, you've also got to look like you're going to score. But at the moment, they're playing aggressive. They haven't had a shot and are already 1-0 down. So it's about judging the game. And I think that I'm intrigued to see now where it goes from here, because if they keep coming at Chelsea, they've got to show more threat, because you can't play aggressive but also be blunt when you come forwards.
Yeah, and that's nice from Tebow. Finds Ale, back to Tebow. That's a nice ball out wide from Van Egmond, spreading the play effectively. Chance now for Leicester Payne. Into Van Egmond. Now it's with Llyn Eriksdottir, and she misses the ball and wipes Fiona Behrman. So that one, a not so dubious foul.
Yeah, I think the return of Mouchon and Rantala will be very positive for Leicester, because, again, it's no disrespect to the players that they've had over the last year that have featured, but last year we saw defensive midfielders leading the line and all sorts, and then this year we've seen Shannon O'Brien, who's got herself sent off, Hannah Kane, who for me is probably the best of the bunch at the moment. Eriksdottir really just hasn't got going at all since she joined Leicester, and yes, they signed her to replace the injured Mouchon, and just hasn't managed to do that whatsoever, really. And it's a difficult one, of course, because they lost so many attackers so quickly last year, but they then had a whole summer to sort that issue out, and they haven't signed anybody.
Leicester's recruitment, well, to be fair, forwards hasn't been great. Leicester's recruitment is always trying to find gems. Here's Llyn Eriksdottir in a decent area. Doesn't get enough behind that shot. I think she's desperate to get a shot. I think she's about to put that top corner and shut you up. But because Leicester like to recruit, they're looking for gems. They're looking for undervalued players. It can be quite hit and miss. Like, you look at someone like Yuli Tebow, I think has been an excellent addition. Asmita Ale, fantastic signing. Livia McLaughlin already looks like a brilliant addition. But then you've got others who sort of crash and burn. But it seems to be a lot of the forwards for Leicester where that's happened. Plus, Eriksdottir, Naomi Mouchon getting injured immediately obviously isn't the fault of the recruitment, but that was an unfortunate situation. So they've just ended up with a concentration of problems, and that's all in the forward area.
Yeah, and the problem is though with that is that if you don't find replacements in your forward area, you're going to have all those defensive gems in the WSL too, because you don't score goals, you don't win football matches.
Yeah. Well, there's the old phrase: goals win games, defenses win championships. But you can't win championships without scoring any goals.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the problem. Here's Bright into Macario.
Early yellow card, by the way, there for Tebow. Really weird one. It was it was a foul pretty high up the pitch for Leicester. I think that's a bit of an unlucky one there, because it weren't stopping a promising attack. It was just
I don't think
a weird one.
Yeah, I do agree. I don't think it was a yellow card, but in defence, I don't think it was Tebow's first.
Maybe potentially, but
She's already had two or three in the first 12 minutes, but don't think that's a yellow card. I do agree.
Yeah. And it depends how the game goes on now, because the problem that happens now is that every foul that happens is going to be under question, and Tebow has got to play a long match now on a yellow card.
Well, that's the bigger problem, I would say. Now Hannah Kane manages to find Van Egmond. McLaughlin does well to find Eriksdottir. Nice link-up play. Now looking to spread the play to the other side, but that misplaced quite egregiously by Llyn Eriksdottir. Aggie Beaver-Jones, though, we haven't spoken much on her since that goal, but that takes her tally to 4 now for the season. Only 6 what she mustered up in the entirety of last campaign. How impressed have you been with Beaver-Jones stepping up as Chelsea's primary forward?
Incredibly well. I think we all knew that she was a quality player over the last couple of years, but it feels like in the second half of last season, and then obviously going into this season, she's really realised, that this is her opportunity to take it. This is the time with Samker on the mend and back on the bench, with Ramirez, who is now out till January. Beaver-Jones has got an opportunity to make that starting number 9 role hers, and she's done that because she's made herself undroppable. 4 goals in 3 games. There is no way that Bompastor can justify, drop it. I mean, obviously taking rotation out of the mix, you can't drop her. It's been brilliant from Beaver-Jones. And I think the variety that she's added to her game as she's developed over the last year or two has been incredible, because she's not just a running behind and score number 9 anymore. She can hold the ball up. She can, headed goals, score from range. She's added a lot of things to her catalogue.
Yeah, here's Captai. Now Carpenter. Back across to Cuthbert. Now Macario. It's been quite interesting to see Macario dropping in more than Captai. I think that's a really strange one. We saw the same happening in the Villa game, not obviously with the same players because it was more of a 4-2-3-1, but it was Macario dropping into midfield. I just find that interesting. You'd expect Macario to be the forward playing off of Beaver-Jones rather than being the player that drops in a little bit deeper. Here's Carpenter. Now into Bright. Under pressure here, Chelsea. Back to Hampton. And she can knock it out to Villa Verman, who doesn't have many options. Opts to go down the line. It's a great ball into Beaver-Jones, who's being held there by Burrell, but she breaks free from it anyway. And Aggie Beaver-Jones now carrying it forwards. Can she take players on? She does so well. Out now to Ellie Carter. Can she get a shot away on goal? She does. It's well saved by Janina Leitzig. But a lovely move from Chelsea, all coming from Villa Berman with a fantastic pass into Beaver-Jones.
Yeah, brilliant pass from Berman. Great run from Beaver-Jones. And it's exactly what I spoke about earlier. If Leicester are going to be aggressive and press high up onto Chelsea, the threat of Beaver-Jones on the break is always going to be there. And that move proving exactly what I said was going to happen. Great running from Beaver-Jones. Just gets the wrong side of Burrell, who knows she can't bring her down. That's also a yellow card. And suddenly, two of Leicester, both Leicester centre halves are going to be on bookings, but it's a really good drive. Picks out Carpenter, who does well with the shot. To be fair, Ale gets across. It's a bit of a tight angle. Well,
the touch doesn't quite open it up enough.
Yeah,
it needs a little bit more weight on it to take it into the right sort of position. But it's just gets stuck in her feet a little bit. She does really well to get a good shot away. And it wasn't a poor touch, but I think if you get that a little bit more precise, you swipe it across goal then, rather than firing straight at Leipzig. Leicester City coming forwards now. Eric Dottir tries to poke a pass through into Kane. That's really good defending from Carpenter. And now Bright can sweep it up and look to clear it away. It's blocked, but it does drop back to a Chelsea player. And now they can look to play out. Pass across the left-hand side. Here's Berman. Into Sandy Baltimore. Back to Villa Berman. And now back to Hampton. Chelsea will settle back into their shape. Pass into Cuthbert. Beats 2. Now looking for a forward option. Nothing available. And it's back to Berman. Here's Baltimore. And wants to play it in behind now. And Beaver-Jones leaves the defender for dead. And Chelsea are in again now. Aggie Beaver-Jones looks to cut back. That's really good defending from T-Bow. Strong and physical. Reads Beaver-Jones' movement and prevents her getting in on goal.
Yeah, it's great defending. I'd like to see what happened between Burrell and Beaver-Jones, because they collided.
It seems to be the same thing where Burrell's trying to hold her and Beaver-Jones just ignores her and runs past her. So if you're trying to hold on to someone and they run off, you're naturally going to fall over. But I think the ref called it right, not penalising Beaver-Jones for it. Walsh, now to Carpenter. Pass back inside to Captai. Wants to switch the play, now looking for Sandy Baltimore. That one cleared away though by Payne. Now Kane in there, turned over by Cuthbert, who could look to shoot it from this sort of area. Erin Cuthbert, and that's punched away by Janina Leitzig, and it's out for a throw-in on this near side.
Good save from Leitzig, but again, Chelsea looking really strong on the ball, and having Erin Cuthbert in there, it just looks so much more controlled. Picks it up brilliantly, and then just takes it and drives with it.
It's that tenacity from Cuthbert. She recognises the situation. She sees that there's no one in that Leicester midfield that looks comfortable at the moment, and she pounces. And that touch then's a little bit astray, and Cuthbert's able to pick up on it and get a shot away at goal. Bjorn into Walsh, tidy from Kira Walsh. Unfortunately, there wasn't an option. She managed to take a player on, then look for a forward pass, and couldn't slip anyone in behind. There's no one there. Now Baltimore shifts it to Macaro, but it's slightly misplaced, and Leicester could look to spring on the counter-attack now. Kane wants to take on Fila Berman. Berman doing well just to try and see her out. Kane now will come inside. And it's a forward pass into Van Egmond, who drops back into midfield with Bright hounding her down. Kaiman across now to Tebow. Wants to come forwards. Yuli Tebow hooks the ball into the box. Millie Bright deals really well with it. Gets in front of it. And prevents that falling to Hlynarix Dottir. Put back into the area by Sam Tierney. That one a little more ambitious and misplaced.
Yeah, it's been a decent performance from Leicester. The problem is that it's all been Chelsea. And obviously, don't get me wrong, Leicester have had a lot of the ball and are coming forwards. But they haven't looked scoring once. And this is the difference between what we've seen from Chelsea in the Villa game, but also other teams towards the top, is that Chelsea, yes, Leicester have had their fair share of the ball and have managed to get the ball out wide and put together some good combinations. But I mean, I don't think they've had a shot yet. They might have had one or two, but they really haven't got going. I mean, they've made 26 passes in the final third, but they haven't threatened Hannah Hampton once. And I think is
one shot off target so far.
Exactly. So as much as Leicester are enjoying a lot of the ball and are playing well, they're not threatening Chelsea. So right now, the champions have got nothing to worry about.
Yes, Carpenter beats Sale well. Now looking to take on Tebow. Cuts it back for Cuthbert. Ball into the area. It's not a bad ball. It drops for Sandy Baltimore, who can't react in time. Now Walsh wants to keep it alive. There's an offside call in there. Chelsea player just going a little too early. Not sure which one. But I'm sure we'll see on a replay. Oka asking a good question. Oka Keith Gary asking a good question. Will Beaver Jones still be the 9 when Kerr gets back to full time? I don't think we'll ever see Sam Kerr back as a full time striker. As in, I don't think she's going to be a star player who plays week in, week out, completely undroppable. I just don't think, given her injury issues, given that she's now 32, there's not really time for her to recover to being a star striker, because maybe by next season you'd be saying, she could be the star forward. By then she's going to be 33 though. So I think she's going to be a fantastic rotation striker. She will definitely start games, of course, but I don't think it's going to be as clear as this is the number 9 and this is the bench striker.
Yeah.
But I think we'll see Beaver Jones start more games than Sam Kerr over the next few seasons and become that star forward. As what that means for Maya Ramirez, I don't really know, because Ramirez or Beaver Jones right now up front, I think it's cut and dry. I think Beaver Jones wins that argument. Ramirez last season was just too ineffective. So I do wonder if it's difficult to shift her, because how do you sell Maya Ramirez, who has the money to buy a Maya Ramirez? But I think Chelsea, given they've got Sam Kerr, given they've got Beaver Jones, ball into the penalty area, it's cleared away, and Makara can play up front as well. I think that'll be a consideration for Chelsea as to what to do with Maya Ramirez. But equally, Chelsea seems to love to have loads of strikers. So
yeah.
Maybe there'll just be a lot of rotation.
Yeah, I think it's a difficult one, because I think it's one of those where I think everyone has to be honest, because, and obviously Chelsea fans won't like it, but we won't see the Sam Kerr of old. I don't we won't get back.
If we do, that's a crazy situation. And no, you won't be able to stop Chelsea, because prime Sam Kerr and prime Aggie, who's not even in her prime yet but looks brilliant. So I just don't see it happening. I don't see Kerr finding her level again, but I think she'll still be a very effective forward and definitely off the bench. Leipzig's done. I think there's another foul in there, to be fair. I thought it was Janina Leipzig who'd drawn the foul there. She just punched it away and sat down.
Yeah, it was Berman. I think it was accidental. She just trod on. Didn't quite see if she trod on there. It was just an absolute mess of bodies.
Goal, by the way, in the other game, the other 12 o'clock kickoff, it's Brighton 1, West Ham 0. West Ham's woes to start this season continue. Caitlin Hayes heading home from a corner at the assist for Fran Kirby.
That's a player who's getting back to a bit of her best, Fran Kirby.
In brilliant form to start this season. A contribution in every game so far, right?
Yeah, she's looked very, very sharp. And I mean, West Ham's woes continue. And I worry that, 25 minutes in, could...
No contribution in the first game of the season. Sorry, it's 0-0. But
yeah,
she's been brilliant in every game this season.
She has. And I tell you what, again, West Ham corners, box defending is all over the place. Brighton just piling players in towards the back post, and that was enough to cause a complete mix-up. But I tell you what,
for West Ham across all levels of the game right now.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
probably even their youth at this point. Magara tries to poke a ball through the lines there, can't quite find Beaver Jones. But yeah, Brighton taking the lead. That's not really a surprise. But that continues West Ham's difficult start to the season. I think Brighton will be very happy to be on 4 points at this stage of the season. They've had such a difficult start to the campaign. With Villa and Man City, I think you'd probably look at both those games and say they deserved more for them as well than what they got. But yeah, looking like they could finally get their first win on the board. Here's Macario, can't quite keep control of that under pressure. And now Leicester will look to play out Tierney. A similar situation for Aston Villa, of course, who have had a very tough first two fixtures and are on 1 point at the moment. I think that a view today is a great opportunity to get 3 points. But of course, that game postponed. Here is Baltimore. Now Walsh. Son to Baltimore. Carrying the ball forwards well. Here's Macario. Goes back to Viola Berman. And now Bright. Walsh actually is dragged down. And little attempt to play the ball there from McLaughlin.
Yeah, it's one of those things. That is a yellow card. And I think she probably gets away with one in that regard. But that's what Leicester need a bit of. Yes, it was aggressive and it wasn't a great tackle, but it's just a bit of tenacity, a bit of combativeness. Yeah,
probably not to that level. I don't think they need players like hugging people to the floor.
Yeah, that is true, but just a bit of bite. Someone who is going to give a bit. I think McLaughlin's been a great signing. And I think the difference between her and some of the others, as you mentioned earlier, the gems and the young talents they're signing, is that they went and got McLaughlin, who was proven at a certain level. Looked brilliant, for Rangers last season in a league that, although the quality isn't the same as the WSL, it's still a very competitive standard. And I think that's what I mentioned about that combativeness and that tenacity. When teams go and sign players from the from teams in lower leagues that have but been part of a side that have walked the competition, they do sometimes lack those physical elements.
So I was saying, obviously McLaughlin has some WSL experience. She did play for Aston Villa for a few seasons, but yeah, she's obviously a very young player. She went up to Rangers to get more game time, and Leicester saw that performance from her last season at Rangers, where she did really raise her game and brought her back to WSL. And I thought she looked brilliant against Liverpool.
Yeah.
Struggled to get in the game today, but there have been some nice passes. But it's difficult when your side don't really. It's such a difficult game today. Yeah. Here's Ellie Carpenter, carries it well, takes a pass to Elle, passes side to Captain. Nice turn, great recovery though. From I think it was Tam Tierney getting back in there, just managed to win the ball back.
Yeah, it's one of those for Leicester where I've never seen a side have 30 successful passes in the final third, yet only have one shot. Like, where are you passing it? Are you they must. It's like they're getting it into the corner and then just keeping it there.
Well, there has been a bit of that where it's just like this wide central midfielder to the fullback, or like a forwards pulled wide, so it's just wing back to forward, back to wing back, try and put a cross in, doesn't go anywhere. Those sort of passes.
Yeah.
It's
just been difficult. I think they've done well in the wide areas, to be fair.
Beyond slightly overhitting that one, it bounces straight through to Janina Leitzig. Zay to ask, we know if Germa is healthy yet. No, Germa is on the sidelines today with Lucy Bronze, 2 players. I mean, we don't really know what's happened to Naomi Germa, other than that she has an injury. That is the extent of what we've been told. But yeah, has missed the first 2 weeks. McLaughlin dragged down there by Macario.
She got away with one, and then she did really well to win the foul because she nearly got caught on the ball. So she thought, and then she tried to spin Macario, and Macario just dragged it down. But got to be careful with those ones, Leicester. If you lose the ball there, then that is going to provide a great opportunity for Chelsea to double their lead. And that's what Leicester have got to work on now, is that they've done well to steady the ship, keep in the game, get a foot on the ball, and keep the scoreline at 1-0. Because as long as it stays at 1-0, they've still got every chance of getting something from the match.
Here's McLaughlin. Pass out to the right-hand side to Payne. That's misplaced, and Beaver Jones can latch onto that. It's a 1v3, but Beaver Jones now will wait for support. And shots to go back to Bjorn. I think that's the problem I've seen so far with Chelsea's system, is it's great when you have the ball high at the pitch and you're settled in possession, but transitions, it's very reliant on those wing-backs getting forward quickly. They were great at transitioning against Manchester City. I thought against Villa they really struggled to transition.
Yeah.
And in this game there, Beaver Jones wins the ball back, but because Carpenter's got a bomb up the line and the two midfielders have gone quite narrow, no one else really gets forward quick enough to support that. But then we saw them transition really effectively against Manchester City. So it also depends on how high the line is, because City was so high that Chelsea were able to use the space. Here is Bjorn. Looks to chip it in behind, and Carter makes the run beyond. There's a chance now for Chelsea. Options in the box, squares it, and it's cleared away. And I'm not sure Carter really had a player in mind there to pick out. She just put the ball in the box.
Yeah, led off there for Leicester, because Carpenter should do a lot better with that delivery, and that's the first time all game that Ale hasn't followed Carpenter. I thought she's done really well defensively.
Captain in the penalty area. Holds onto it well won back though by McLaughlin. Now Van Egmond under pressure from Cuthbert. No reason to give it away there. Beaver Jones to Cuthbert, and that's a great save from Janina Leitzig. Gets across her goal well, uses her full frame to tip it away. And that could have easily been 2-0. Good effort from Erin Cuthbert.
Really good stop that from Janina Leitzig. Does well, gets across her goal and gets a strong hand behind it. That's the main thing. We see a lot of those where the goalkeeper reaches for it and their wrist kind of falls apart and then it goes into the goal. But a strong, firm hand behind that ball.
McLaughlin does really well there to stop Cuthbert.
And I think McLaughlin was annoyed if that had gone in, because she did brilliantly to win it back. Gave it to Van Egmond, who just ran straight back into trouble.
Ball in behind, now looking for Kane. And that's really good defending from Bjorn to see her backwards. She'll use it now to Eriksdottir. Back to Kane. Can she pick out a teammate in the box? Cuts inside. And that effort towards goal is blocked and out for a Leicester corner. And a chance for Leicester to finally put some pressure on Chelsea.
Better, much better for Leicester. More direct in the first kind of moment in the match where they've managed to get one of the forwards to actually trap the ball in the penalty area and keep it up there. Well done. Kane does well there to hold on to that and keep the move alive, gets a shot away and wins a corner. But this game is becoming a little bit frantic, and this is where Chelsea have just got to be careful, because at one moment they were nearly close to making it 2-0, but they've just got to watch out for Leicester coming forwards. Because if this game does start to come end to end, that's going to favour Leicester more than it's going to favour Chelsea.
Yeah, corner now for Leicester. Ball into the box, headed away by Bright. And then cleared forwards by Ale. Out now to the left-hand side. Hooked back across the box by T-Bow. Hasn't come off though, and Chelsea now can look to transition. Here's Beaver Jones. Skips away from Tierney. And now opts to go backwards, with Leicester recovering really quickly. Captain across to Bright. Lifts it out to the left-hand side, where Sandy Baltimore tries to bring it under her control. But she just can't quite manage it. It's weird, she seemed to cushion it down well, and then it just seemed to bounce off the surface and trickle away from her.
Yeah, read the flight of the ball decently. It was a good ball from Bright. I don't know what happened there. It looked for all the world she'd be bursting in down the left-hand side. But
Leicester throwing now with Payne. Knocks out the line, and Baltimore knocks it out for another throw.
Yeah, I think Payne will be happy to get a few touches in here. Everything for Leicester has come down this left-hand side with Ale, understandably so. But yeah, really haven't used that right-hand side, but they're doing well now with a succession of throw-ins, just working it up the line. That's all you've got to do. Further you work it up the line, further away you get from your own goal, closer you get to the opposition's goal. Now they've gone all the way back, so ignore all of that.
Here is Janice Kamen. Flicked on there by Tierney, but not to a Leicester teammate, instead out for a Chelsea throw. Berman. Here's Bright. Clips it forwards, and Beaver Jones will look to put pressure on this for Leipzig out comfortably to come and catch the ball.
Yeah, I don't like that from Bright. I don't mind a switch of the play, but that was much more of just a hoof up the pitch.
Yeah.
Which isn't... It was unnecessary, really.
That was a Williamson crossfield ball where she does it 15 times a game, and the one time it comes off gets clipped onto social media. Cuthbert, strong tackle, Van Egmond. That one is nasty. Just goes in late, and she will pick up a yellow card for that challenge. She seemed to dive in before Cuthbert had even... Cuthbert cleared the ball away, and then Van Egmond went in.
Yeah, in her mind, she'd gone to commit, and once she'd committed, she couldn't pull out, and she just got there second. That was always give her a yellow card, and she can laugh about it all she wants, but that wasn't, very, very late. Both went for it. Cuthbert gets there first. Van Egmond comes in second and catches Cuthbert while she's on the floor. Yeah, that's a certain yellow card. Although it would have hurt less fair in Cuthbert if she had some proper shin pads on, rather than a tiny pack of gum. But either way, it is a yellow card and a free kick.
Very true. Here's Bright. Now Cuthbert. Back to Millie Bright. Macario. Bright. And Bjorn can't quite get that under her control. That's out for a Leicester throw on this near side. Lucky there should have been a red. No, it was late, but it wasn't high or too forceful. So I think yellow is fair, but it was definitely a firm yellow. I think the ref had the yellow out of her pocket before you could see what was going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, it was controlled. It was just late. Because if she gets there half a second earlier, then she probably gets the ball before Cuthbert, and then suddenly it's the other way around, and Cuthbert's the one getting booked, and it's a Leicester free kick. But just happened to be that Cuthbert got there first, although Leicester have now got a free kick. A little bit too aggressive there from Bjorn. Once again, just struggling a little bit, potentially, with the combativeness from Leicester. An opportunity for the away side to get the ball into the box and try and get another shot on the board. And maybe, test Southampton for the first time this afternoon.
Yeah, clipped in towards the far post, probably a little deeper than she would have wanted, and Bright clears it away emphatically. Ale putting it back into the box, could be dangerous. Carpenter makes the first contact. Drops now for Hannah Kane, clips it in towards the box, headed away by Bright. And now they'll look to keep it alive again here, Leicester, putting Chelsea under some pressure. Drops on the edge of the box, but it's Cuthbert who comes away with it, and they can break now. Chelsea pass through towards Beaver Jones. Ale, though, gets in front of it. And then Cuthbert, I don't really know what happened there, but she's going to get booked for, and I'm not sure she did much wrong there.
She's been booked for simulation. I mean, I'm not sure that's a dive.
No.
I'd like to see that one back, but that's an interesting one. Let's have a look here. Was this a dive?
No, she's been thrown on the nudged on the floor. It's not a foul either way, really. But
no,
how on earth can you say that's a yellow card for Cuthbert? But because she catches Ale?
Oh, maybe.
But she's
yeah.
Nudged on the floor.
Yeah, it's for the contact on Ale, which is there's no foul there. That's the problem. There's nothing there.
No, the contact on Ale comes because their teammates throwing Cuthbert down. That's another soft one. Ref's not going to find us a few minutes. Well, Chelsea recover that ball. We've got a goal in the other game. It's Brighton 2, West Ham 0. Kiko Seke with her first of the season. Rose Kafaji with her assist in Brighton Blue. And according to Shams, Seke with a nice 1-2 and then finish into the corner.
Oh dear. If you're a West Ham fan,
yeah,
that could get it nasty again. That's a great ball. Well done from Carpenter. Leicester having another good spell.
That's West Ham's 8th goal conceded of the season.
Days. And they're only two and a half games in.
Yeah.
It's not great, to be honest. I've seen worse. Seen a lot worse, but it's still not great.
Ball forwards, headed down, looking for Van Egmond, who gets away from Cuthbert. To be fair, they have had difficult fixtures. They only lost 1-0 to Tottenham, and that was because of a penalty. They got trounced by an Arsenal side. That was a foul from Millie Bright there. Firm on the back of Van Egmond. They got trounced by Arsenal, where they just capitulated and threw 5 attackers on. And now they're losing to a very good Brighton team.
Yeah, and now, this is what the problem the referee has got now, is that Hannah Kane there is asking for a yellow card, which is a yellow card in itself, but she doesn't give that one. But now that's the problem, because we've already seen 4 I want to say, in this first half.
She's set that precedent now, hasn't she?
Now every challenge or every tackle that's over the line is going to be questioned, which is either going to lead to inconsistency or about 12 yellow cards at this rate. But again, it's another Leicester free kick, another opportunity to get the ball in the box. Maybe you put it on goal. No, you don't put it on the goal. Put it into the box.
Kane floats it towards the back post, headed away by Captain, and smash clear by Beaver Jones. There's an offside call in there.
So many things wrong with that. A, don't be offside. That's really lazy. But the second thing is, that's the third set piece now they're put towards the back post. But everyone stood at the front or in the middle of the penalty area. So why do they keep putting the ball into the back post when there's only one Leicester player stood there?
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I've just seen who the West Ham goalkeeper was. After watching that, it was King of Jemic, so I don't know what their goalkeeping coach is doing there. But Seke, it's a nice finish towards the far corner, but it's right within Jemic's circle.
From that angle, yeah.
And yeah, but she jumps and misses it. I just don't know what they're teaching their goalkeepers at West Ham. Stay on the floor, save it. Forward ball, Ale heads it down to T-Bow. Now Burreal on to Kaiman. Back to Burreal. Now here's T-Bow. Pass forward, looking for Van Egmond. One back by Cuthbert, who's dragged down, and Van Egmond's got to be careful. It's Lynn Eriksdotter, she's all right. She can make as many fouls as she wants, but dragging down Cuthbert there.
I tell you what, Leicester have done really well. We've been mentioning the referee and yellow cards a lot in the last 5-10 minutes, but that's because Leicester have turned this into a scrappy game, which is exactly what they needed to do. If you try and play, again, it's no disrespect to the side loader, but if you try and play quality football against a side like Chelsea, their quality will beat yours. It's as simple as that. So, but to make it a scrappy affair, that's going to favour everyone. In a Leicester shirt and Erin Cuthbert. So yeah, it's one of those where Leicester have done really well to make it difficult for Chelsea to get the ball forwards, because the last 5-10 minutes Leicester have probably been the better side. Yeah,
Berman into Cuthbert, turned over half the pitch. Van Egmond will look to dink Hampton here, but she can't quite find the target.
What a wrong decision that was. Yeah. Turned the ball over half the pitch, caught Erin Cuthbert on the ball, could have brought it forwards into loads of space, and then just tries to lob it in from 30 yards. And Hannah Hampton was still on her goal line, so it's never going to go in.
She's not even at the target. So many problems with that. Bjorn. It's one of those where, if Hampton's off her line and you score, well done, fantastic decision, but wrong time.
Even if Hampton's off her line, you put it over, people can go, the keeper's off her line, she's just gone for it. But that was never going to go in. It's been a really weird 40 minutes. It really has. The last 5 are going to be big now, because if Leicester can keep this up, keep the momentum going and get into half-time 1-0, only 1-0 down, then it's going to make a very competitive second half.
Ball clipped in behind, and good defending. It probably could have been communicated better by Heather Payne, but she does the ball over the top. T-Bow. Carpenter wins it back, but it falls back in there for Payne. And now Leicester can look to come forwards. Van Egmond, nice hold up. It's bouncing around a lot at the moment. It's Beaver Jones comes away with the ball. Here's Cuthbert, back now to Walsh, who can just bring a little bit more calm into that moment of frenzy. Bright, lovely drive forwards. Shifts it onto Walsh. Now back to Carpenter. Here's Walsh, pass inside, flicked around the corner from Bright, and she can't find the run there of Ellie Carpenter. Show's last predictions for Ballon d'Or tomorrow. Didn't realise that was tomorrow. Phil said Marta or Williamson, maybe Russo. J37 says Russo should be nowhere near. Sanford said Russo. So mixed opinions there on Alessia Russo. It will be either Bomate or Puteas, inexplicably.
Or Caldente.
Yeah, possibly.
But the fact that I think it should, personally, I agree. I'd say Russo. But no? Okay. Well, to be fair,
Williamson or Marta, I think feels spot on.
Yeah.
If Marta doesn't win it, it just shows that you're never going to win it in the NWSL.
Yeah.
Because what more could she have done? Her side won the Copa America, and she won the NWSL Championship. So, and that's the equivalent of winning the league and an international trophy. But because it's not the WSL and the Euros, there hasn't been as much media interest on it. And she was pivotal in both of those. So yeah, for me it'd be Master or Williamson. It will inexplicably be Putellas. And it's about who cares. Football's about the teams, not individuals. But
there's no I in team. Oh,
how can you say whether Williamson or Marta have had a better year? It's just redundant, isn't it?
Yeah.
But there you go. Ale. Lovely 1-2 with Van Egmond. Plays it inside. It's not back now to McLaughlin. Kyman. Out now to Payne. Nice hold up from Tierney. Here's Hannah Kane back to Sam Tierney. He's going to be forced backwards here by Cuthbert. Tries to play a ball, tries to reverse a ball around the corner. That'll run out of play for a Chelsea goal kick. But yeah, I mean, you mentioned it a few moments ago, but I think Leicester City have done really well since Chelsea scored to make it really difficult. They've come forwards well. They've been defensively really tight. Made it so it's difficult to break down. Yeah, I think they've done really well.
Yeah. And I think Chelsea will have got to be wary of that because, to be honest, if Leicester had a Mouchon or a Rantala on, or if this was up against another side who had probably some better forwards, then I think Chelsea could have been in a little bit of trouble in this first half.
As I predicted at the start, though, I think this game will be similar to Chelsea last season, where it will open up.
Yes.
Here's Macario, turns the ball over half the pitch, looking towards goal. It takes aim. It's a really good claim by Leipzig. Macario should do better. I think floats that effort too much. Looks across goal. I think if she's going to float it, go near post.
Yeah.
Because that just flies towards the top corner. And so she tries to sort of float it over Leipzig. It's never going to really go in there. You need a lot more power to make that difficult for Janina Leipzig. Throw in from Carpenter into Beaver Jones. Back now for Walsh. Pass inside. Can't quite pick out a teammate now. Bjorn. Here's Bright. Plays through the lines looking for Captine, or drop in there for the recovering Ellie Carpenter. And that's a poor pass back to Bjorn. He's going to have to recover that. Here is Hampton. J37 says, we don't seem to be attacking under Sonia, always underwhelming. I think the thing that Sonia's strangling with at the moment is having that, edge in attack, but also controlling and dominating games. Here is Baltimore. With under Emma Hayes, it was great fun watching Chelsea, but it was always a method of we're going to score one more than you. And that's the reason they never won the Champions League. There was never that defensive security. And I think, obviously, Bompastor wants her sides to control matches.
Yeah, it's the reason why Chelsea...
We're never going to find out much additional time for the way, but no chance.
Yeah, it's one of those where the reason Chelsea would win 8-0 and stuff under Emma Hayes, because when they played against sides that were so poor,
everyone would run forwards. Millie Bright would go up front for a laugh.
Yeah.
And they'd see how many they could score. But then that did result in games where they'd lose it, heavily to an opponent they really shouldn't.
Yeah.
An opponent they should be competitive with. Baltimore takes aim, it's blocked wide, and that's out now for another corner.
But it's the trading of, rather than beating Everton 4-1, 4-2, it's now, like last season, it was beating them 1-0, 2-0, which it was a more controlled performance.
Then Chelsea didn't lose a single game last season, and that's the trade-off.
Yeah.
It may be less full thrust attack, but it does exercise more control, and it's effective football. It's more of a comment on the state of modern football now than it is on Sonia, I think, as a manager, because everyone wants to have control rather than have fun. Walsh takes save. That's a hell of an effort and a fantastic save from Janina Leipzig. Just lets fly with a ferocious effort. And it's tipped over phenomenally by Janina Leipzig. She's got no right to stop that. Fantastic from Leipzig. And that will draw an end to the first half. Chelsea 1, Leicester City 0. It's been an even game after that initial goal for Aggie Beaver-Jones in the 6th minute. Leicester made themselves much more difficult to break down. But it's at half-time here at Kingsmeadow. Chelsea 1, Leicester City 0.
Massive credit to Leicester City because they responded really well to going a goal down and would probably... past the 30th minute, were probably the better side. Chelsea, a decent half, but certainly a lot to reflect on. But Janina Leipzig, what a way to end the 45 minutes there with another brilliant save. And that does have to be said. I think that a lot of, again, you can look at that half two ways. And I think that the best way to look at it is probably to balance the two. You could argue that Chelsea have played very, very well. And if Leipzig hadn't pulled off some brilliant saves, they could be 3 or 4-0 up. You can also look at the other way and say that Chelsea have scored 1 goal, but bar that, Leicester have been on the ball and they've been the ones putting the ball into the box. I think it's a bit of the two because Chelsea have looked very, very good. I mean, to be honest, it's accurate but not clinical. The shots to shots on target ratio is very, very encouraging. We see a lot of sides. Take Man United, for example, when they beat Leicester in the opening game week. They turned up, they had loads of... They scored 4 goals, yes, but they had loads of shots that went wide. They missed a couple of big chances. Chelsea at one point only had 4 shots but had put all of them on target. And credit to Janina Leipzig because she's made some brilliant saves, and that one there at the end of the half is the pick of the bunch. But a really, really good work to stop those Chelsea efforts. She's denied Macario, she's denied Carpenter, that one there to stop Welsh scoring, and she has done very, very well. And without that, Chelsea may have scored a couple of more goals. But Leicester have reacted well to going a goal down, and I think that they got better and better as the half went on. And as I said, they turned it into a more scrappy game that was less reliant on getting the ball down playing football and more reliant on getting the ball into the box and seeing what they can do. They had a succession of recycling possession where they put they had a free kick, they put it in, it got cleared, and they just kept recycling and putting it into the box. How they didn't get a shot out of any of them was the biggest surprise, but the fact they were recycling the ball and immediately putting that Chelsea penalty area back under pressure was very, very good to see. And I think that, again, you have to be a bit balanced because, yes, Leicester, credit for them, they've played very, very well and they've got themselves right into this game and Chelsea have got work to do. Leicester haven't really threatened Hannah Hampton at all. So, for Chelsea, again, it's exactly what we're talking about. It's been controlled from Chelsea, but they've just got to be careful that with only a goal advantage, that Leicester don't spring a surprise and finally make one of those crosses count. I think you've got to find a bit of a balance there between Leicester have played well and Chelsea have struggled, but I think Chelsea have potentially not been at their best, but Leicester have also put on a very, very good performance.
I have to say, I find the reaction in chat, I know obviously Chelsea fans just want to see the best football and, victory and playing well, but I find the reaction a little bit bizarre, and it's not to discredit Leicester, but Chelsea have had a strong first 45 minutes, 7 shots, 6 on target. On a day where Janina Leipzig isn't in top form, that's probably 2 or 3-0 at half time. And then and everyone views it in a completely different way. Leicester are a very difficult side to break down. They play very effectively without the ball. They work hard. They close down the angles. They make it very difficult to play through the lines against them. And that's what Chelsea have found in the first 45 minutes. It is hard to create good quality chances. A lot of the opportunities have been half chances for Chelsea. But I think, one big chance created in that first half, Chelsea, they put it in the back of the net. Other than that, Leipzig's denied a few good efforts. But yeah, I don't think it's been a bad first 45 from Chelsea at all. I think once the changes come and you bring on some fresh legs, once Leicester start to tire a little bit more and those the gaps start to emerge and Chelsea can exploit that, the game changes really. So I haven't been concerned. Leicester haven't put a shot on target yet. I think it's absurd to say that people saying Sonia needs to leave and Sonia's anti-football. Obviously that's a very extreme reactionary response, but I do think it's a little bit harsh to say Chelsea haven't had a very good first half there because they haven't let Leicester put a shot on target. And I think, yes, at times they've lowered themselves to the level where it's become a little bit scrappy and a little bit bitey. And I think Chelsea have misplaced a few passes at key moments. But so it's a little sloppy in that regard. But I don't think it's anything to be gravely concerned about. Chelsea lead by a goal to 0. They've created chances. They've had shots. It's not been ridiculously wasteful. It's just difficult to break teams down like Leicester when they want to put 5 players in their defensive line and they want to sit incredibly deep. So, I've not been concerned at all, really, about that first 45 from a Chelsea perspective. Yeah,
it's one of those where I think the momentum is misleading because a lot of people will look at that the last 15, 20 minutes and it was Leicester on the ball and it was them coming forwards. And I'm sure the possession is probably pretty even. Leicester probably have got, low 40%?
It's 60% to 40%.
40%. So, Leicester
that swung, so it's 66-34 in the first 35 minutes. That has swung a little bit towards the end of the end of that first half. But, yeah.
Yeah, it's exactly what we're speaking about though. How I think Chelsea scoring so early, everyone expects them to then go on and be 4-0 up at half time, but it's got to a point now where football isn't like that. Teams don't just capitulate because they concede early. Like they only conceded 4 to Man United, and Man United kind of went a different way about it, and it was a pretty similar game where Leicester still hung in there and had their moments. I think that and as I said, the Chelsea players are are doing okay. I don't think it's been a bad performance. It's the momentum that's misleading because the possession looks close, but Leicester haven't had a shot on target. Chelsea have limited them to what, 3 shots that have gone nowhere near the goal, and there's nothing to worry about. Hannah Hampton hasn't made a save. You can't complain when your goalkeeper hasn't had to make a save in the first half. It's exactly what you expect to see from Chelsea. It's controlled. It's well judged. If I completely agree, if Leicester start threatening and getting some shots away, and Chelsea don't react to that, then 100% that is going to be a concern. But right now, there's nothing for Chelsea to defend at the moment. They're doing what they need to do.
That's exactly right. And when Chelsea get another few, obviously it all depends on what happens. When Chelsea get another few goals in the second half, as we'd expect to happen, when it's 2-3, maybe 4-0, then people then go, well, Bompastor's got lucky, they've scored in the last minute. That's the game plan. They will wear down a side who are playing really well, who are defending really valiantly. They'll wear them down. They'll make the changes at the right time, and then they'll find a breakthrough. But so far, it's been really solid football. Leicester already have 2 players on a yellow card. Burial is a challenge away from a yellow card. Ayle's another, I'd say, in a similar situation. Both the midfielders as well. McLaughlin's lucky not to already be on a yellow card with some of her challenges. So I think they'll start to get a little bit, as this game goes on, they'll start to gain even more control. And I haven't been concerned by anything I've seen in that first 45 minutes. Chelsea have been the stronger side. They've dictated the tempo. They've had a lot more shots than the opposition. They've put Leipzig under immense pressure. If Leipzig doesn't deny somewhat spectacularly the effort from Kira Walsh at the end there, if she doesn't stop Erin Cuthbert's effort, it's 3-0 Chelsea. And we're all sat there going, wow, they're dominating, and it's been an incredible first half. So, it's a matter of optics, but I think looking from that first 45 minutes, Chelsea have created more chances than they've conceded, and Leicester haven't had a shot on target yet. So it hasn't perhaps been as full, free-flowing as you'd like in attacking areas, but it has been effective, it has been dominant, and you would expect from here Chelsea will go on to win the game. Obviously, if Rick Passmore nails it and they come out and play really well, maybe Leicester will nick something. Yeah. But then that changes the conversation entirely. From the first half, Chelsea have done well.
Yeah, it's one of those where Chelsea have just got to be safe and be sure now, and don't commit any errors. Erin Cuthbert just got to be careful on that yellow card. Don't give the referee a decision to make. Just keep it clean. Don't give the ball away, in your own third. And if Chelsea just keep the basics right and keep 11 players on the football pitch, then I think they'll be absolutely fine. I think that it is something to be careful. And you mentioned there the Leicester yellow cards, and I mentioned Cuthbert, is that the referee is very happy at the moment to be dishing out these cards. So just got to watch it in there. You don't want to be, the last thing you want to do now from a Chelsea perspective is make a silly tackle or get something wrong and land your team in trouble. But at this point, if Chelsea stay error-free, that they will go on to win this game. Whether that's 1-0, whether that's 5-0, that depends on what happens going forwards. But it's been well judged, and Leicester will be happy with the way they've played. For me, it's been their best 45 minutes of the season. They didn't really have any identity or any idea of what they were doing against Man United, and although they beat Liverpool, that performance wasn't brilliant either. Yeah. But this has been hard fought. There's a bit of desire about it. There's a bit of character. And I think that is what caught Chelsea out halfway through that first half, was that aggression. I mean, it was from the point we mentioned it, when McLaughlin made that tackle where she almost hugged and jumped on Erin Cuthbert. From that point, Leicester seemed to have really found that aggression and found that strength to go out and compete with Chelsea. And yes, that has gone over the line a bit, and they've conceded they've given away a few free kicks, and they have picked up a few yellow cards. But I don't think Rick Passmore will mind that, as long as they keep it relatively clean and don't pick up, don't end up being dismissed. I think he'll like to see that the team's got a bit of fight about them and is trying to stepping onto Chelsea and taking the game to them.
This is the kind of game where you want Lauren James, because there'd be a Leicester midfielder on a red card, I think, by now, or would be approaching one in the second half, because the way that she draws fouls is so effective. I think potentially it's the kind of game then you want to get someone like Alyssa Thompson into, where she can run at players, where
Yeah.
she can look to get shots away at goal, where she can look to draw fouls on the edge of the box. But yeah, I think it's going to be. I think it makes sense then to bring someone like that on who could win it. I think the other change that I would see soon. It's a shame Luskin's not on the bench today because I think Luskin for Cuthbert would have been a good change. But Orion Jean-Francois is an excellent player, and so I think you would have probably take off Erin Cuthbert considering she's on a yellow card. And this is the kind of game where if it gets feisty, Cuthbert could just get drawn into something stupid.
Yeah.
I'd rather not see that happen. So yeah, get someone like Jean-Francois on, shore up the midfield. And then I wouldn't expect that to happen until 55, 60 minutes and then go from there. But yeah, Chelsea, I think if they continue playing like they have in the first half, will find more chances. Leicester, I think, given how they've played really well, but I think they will tire and mistakes will start to occur. We saw chances for Chelsea on the counter attack they couldn't quite take in that first half, but yeah, it's not been a bad performance at all from Chelsea in that first 45 minutes. I fully expect them going forward in this game to start to take a bit more control.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting how it plays out in the second half, because the reason it's become such an aggressive and scrappy midfield fight is because I think Leicester have done really, really well in wide areas. On the right-hand side of Heather Payne, I don't think she had much to do. A lot of the players have been on this left-hand side, but we haven't really seen Baltimore or Payne involved in this game whatsoever. And I think that will be maybe something Chelsea need to look at, is rather than using Carpenter all the time, try and get Baltimore involved, because Asmita Rail, for me, has been one of the best players on the pitch, going both ways. She's done so well to stick with Carpenter and not let her run free and not let her get the space that we've seen in other games, but also managing to get up the pitch and join into the attack. And almost by being further up, AL is kind of, she's forcing Carpenter to go back with her. She's not letting Carpenter just run off up the pitch and then get caught, and then suddenly Chelsea have got an overload. I think AL has done really, really well. But if Chelsea can start to unlock Leicester in those wide areas, this game will come towards the champions. Because at the moment, Leicester are drawing it into the middle of the pitch, where Leicester, I was thinking, you've also got the three of Leicester versus what is, yes, Macario and Captain dropping in, but it's more of a two for Chelsea. And right now, Leicester are just winning that fight, with that three-player midfield. If Chelsea can get the ball out wide and try and, pin Ale back and pin Payne back and get Baltimore and Carpenter more into this game, then I think that Chelsea will take complete control of this football match. But the more that if Leicester can keep pinning that ball into the middle and turning it into a bit more, it's more like rugby in there at the moment, where players are smashing into each other and competing for the football, and it's spilling out and running free. If Leicester keep it in the middle there, Chelsea are going to keep finding it difficult to progress the ball forward without just springing it over the top into Beaver Jones. So Leicester are doing well so far, but I think if Chelsea can get Baltimore and Carpenter more into this game, then it's going to get very, very difficult for Leicester to keep in this match and keep the scoreline at 1-0.
Yeah, I'd say that's the big thing. The big shift this season for Chelsea has been Sonny Baltimore's involvement. And it's because obviously now with how the system is structured before, Baltimore was the one getting forwards a lot more, and obviously Bronzer then drop off. Now with them both being as wing backs, they're both expected to get forward, but I think there's been a lot more focus on finding Carpenter in those high areas. And a bit of that will be because teams saw how dangerous Sunday Baltimore was last season and will want to make sure she's marked a lot tighter. But yeah, I definitely think she's been one who's been less effective so far this campaign. And that's something that will be interesting to see how that goes on. It could just very much be that she didn't start in the Aston Villa game, didn't have the chance that Carpenter did in the City game. If she goes on to score in the second half, that changes. But I will say, I think she's been a little bit quiet so far.
Yeah, and Vika Kaptein as well is another player put into that bracket. Just hasn't really got involved.
No, not in today's game. I thought she was absolutely phenomenal in the Manchester City game. I thought against Villa she was played in the wrong position, and then it made sense to take her out of that situation. In this game, I agree. I don't think she's touched the ball too much, but I think that's been more of a problem of Chelsea getting it to her because she's played a lot higher than Macario has.
Yeah,
it's been a bit of an oddity.
It's one of those as well where this isn't Captain's game. I speak about that midfield fight and that scrappy ball spilling out, players putting in big tackles. That's not Vika Kaptein's kind of area.
Vika Kaptein, in terms of her hard work and her work rate, it's all off the ball stuff. It's it's in terms of that pressing. It's in terms of running the hard yards. But at no point in this game have Leicester City trying to play out. They're not interested in doing that. A change, by the way, for Chelsea: Kat Macario off for Micah Hamano.
I think there might be two as well because Chelsea
that doesn't look like very light side. And the other change will be Sunday Baltimore off for Alyssa Thompson. So Thompson onto wing back. I think that suits her.
But it's very interesting.
It's something I theorised when when Alyssa Thompson was signed. I did a video looking at her profile. Her defensive numbers in the NWSL, she ranked in the top 20% for position in terms of defensive contributions. So definitely points towards being able to play that role fairly seamlessly. So,
but I like Bompastor realising what's going on, looking to make those changes, and we'll see if it makes a difference.
Yeah. So there we go. Hamano on and Alyssa Thompson on, and that's going to be Macario and Baltimore off. So Leicester City will get us back underway. Van Egmond knocks it back, and we're back underway here at Kingsmeadow. It's Leicester City versus Chelsea. Chelsea leading by a goal to nil from Beaver Jones in the 6th minute. And we're back underway for the second half. So out of play. No, knocked out of play there by Bright. That'll be a Leicester throw-in on the far side. Ale. Pass down the line. Van Egmond can't bring it under her control. Here is Bjorn. It's neither side able really to get a foot on the ball in that moment. It's a bounce around. Tierney flicks it over the top. And Bjorn will see that back to Bright well. And Bright then clears it forwards. Ball not dealt with well in there by Burrell. And now it's a chance for Hamano. He tries to get on the ball. And now Tierney on this right-hand side. Thompson goes to close her down. That's a pass on towards Payne. And that's headed away well by Bright. Hamano works hard, tries to win the ball back forward to Beaver Jones. And they've got players forward here, but it's pulled back for a foul. Hamano deemed to be at fault there for bringing down Janice Kyman.
Yeah, just Paul Kamen back there as she burst away. Nothing in it. Both again, it started as it picked up. We started as we ended in the first half. Bit scrappy, balls bouncing around. Both sets of players just struggling to get a foot on the ball. But Leicester have now got another chance to launch this into the Chelsea penalty area. Got to get a shot on target. Leicester, you feel in the second half. They want it. They are going to have to if they want to level it up. But just to get a bit of momentum going.
I don't know. I've seen Tottenham win games without having a shot on target. So.
That is true.
Ball flicked over the top, looking for the run of Van Egmond, but she pokes it wide. She's looked dangerous though, Van Egmond. Probably Leicester's most dangerous player in the 2 games that we've seen of her. Just making those runs in behind more than either of the strikers.
Yeah, and was deemed onside, which stuns me because she looked miles off. But we'll have a look here. No, kept on by Bright's back leg.
Yeah, it was tight there, but I think she was just on. Bright just didn't step up there.
Yeah, and a very difficult angle to try and flick that over Hannah Hampton. But yeah, Van Egmond has popped up in some good areas. I think she's struggled a bit when she's been involved deeper in the pitch. But yeah, she's done well when she's got forwards.
Yeah. So ball out of play for a Leicester throw. And a nice touch there in memory of Matt Beard. A moment's applause from all in attendance here at Kingsmeadow. A lovely gesture. And yeah, nice to pay respects to Chelsea's first ever WSL manager. As Leicester look to take this throw on the near side. It's actually a free kick. Ball swung in towards the penalty area, headed away by Fiona Berman. Now Carpenter, who flicks it on towards Thompson. Can't quite get there. Well won back by Tierney. Ball bounced around a little now. It's the right-hand side with Payne. Thompson goes to narrow the angle. And forces Payne back to Kyman. Right, poke it through the lines. Here's Alex Dottir, who will be first forced further back. And now Leicester looking to go down the left-hand side. Van Egmond. Back to Janina Leipzig. Phil says penalty to West Ham.
Oh, wow.
Interesting.
The chance then to get on the score sheet.
Apparently fairly wild from Enadozi. Ball forwards from Leicester, and that's out for a Chelsea goal kick.
I assume she's still on the pitch, though.
Right, so she's in my fantasy team. God, that's a red.
But yeah, mate.
John Morgan drawing a foul in the penalty area 5 minutes after she came on.
Wow. Was she doing a TikTok dance at the same time? Or
Maybe.
Mate, it's one of them days it's wild. It's disrespectful and not smashed into her.
Love she played with a GoPro. Just for that. Here's Hampton. Launching one forwards, a ball in behind, and Captain tries to give it chase, but that is overhit. And it's Vivian Asai who converts from the spot. So it's Brighton 2, West Ham 1. West Ham's second goal of the season.
A penalty and a own goal.
And
what a season.
A wind-carried cross that went in over Van Domslo, who, saved it onto the post off the back of her head. Villarreal back to Leipzig here. And Chelsea really penning Leicester in. Payne down the line. Walsh does well, but that is given as a Leicester throw, and I'm not sure on that decision at all.
No.
Cuthbert pokes it to Hermano. Strong in there from Micah Hermano. Back now to Cuthbert. Tries to pass to Alyssa Thompson. Now that one definitely a Chelsea throw. Because it's not a red, came rushing out, but they did have defenders back. Cheers, Phil, for the update.
Well fought from Walsh. This game has got Chelsea have just started getting a foot on the ball now. It's exactly what they need to do.
Now Bjorn. Back now to Bright. And she'll look to switch the play with a diagonal ball. And that's not bad. Looking for the run of Alyssa Thompson, who holds the width well here for Chelsea. Now wants to take on Payne. Strong challenge from Heather Payne, who reads it well and wins the ball back. Great tackle.
Yeah, times it really well. Hard and firm. That's exactly what you need to do on new players to the league. Welcome to the WSL, Alyssa Thompson. Good defending that.
And here is Thompson drifting inside. Back to Walsh, who knocks it back down the line into Thompson. Thompson into the box. That's a great chance for Beaver Jones, but she just can't quite wrap her foot around it.
Yeah, doesn't catch it nicely. Needed to get over the ball and just drill it towards the net, but it just lofted it up and straight into the arms of Leipzig.
Yeah, it's just if she wraps her foot around that, volley across goal.
Yeah.
That's 2-0. And a second for Beaver Jones. So good chance for Chelsea. Aggie unable to capitalise.
I think that second goal is exactly what Chelsea need, because while it's still 1-0, Leicester have still got a bit of fight and something to use, even if they haven't had a shot on target.
Ball up the line, cleared away by Bjorn. That's out now for us, Meter Ale. She throws it in towards towards McLaughlin. Now pass down the line, looking for Payne. Thompson can't quite get there. Berman steps up well though, and a pass forwards into Hermano, who can't quite shield it from Janice Kyman. And then Hannah Kane flicking it up in the air. Carpenter under pressure from Ale, does well there to twist out of it. But then overplays. I'm not sure what Carpenter's trying to do there, but she's deemed to be dragged back by Eriksdottir, and that a little bit fortunate, you feel, for Ellie Carpenter.
Not sure about that one at all.
It's a great initial turn at why then she went back on herself. There was space down the line to just run into. Bierman flicking it towards, or lifting it towards Beaver Jones. It's cleared away, drops for Walsh to Hermano. Hermano back now to Bierman.
Not sure if Hermano was the right change, to be honest.
I don't think Kat did anything particularly wrong.
No, again, I think it's the kind of game that suits Macario more than it suits Hermano.
Yeah, possibly.
Because we've seen it.
Yeah, Hermano's great off the ball, isn't she, in terms of pressing, but...
We've just seen it a couple of times now when she's got on the ball. And Leicester, we saw it there with Kyman, who came in and just took it off her. Yeah, I think Macario was even more physical, more stronger, better at holding it up.
Yeah. Throw in. That's brought down well by Eriksdottir. Poked round the corner. Thompson there does well to pounce. Wins it off Tierney into Beaver Jones. Back towards Thompson. Great defending from Payne. Captain toward Hermano. Back towards Captain. Lovely combination. That's what you get from those players in those roles. When Chelsea do get on the ball, very dangerous. That's nice football. Doesn't quite result in an opportunity. Hermano. Holds it up nicely, tries to go back to Carpenter. It's out for a throw. Carpenter goes quickly. It's just fortunate not to be given as a foul throw there. Back out for a Carpenter throw.
Yeah, Carpenter's technique always throws me off because they always look like foul throws.
Yeah, she tries to go into the floor.
Yeah, because her back, she puts her back leg out and then kind of like lunges into it.
Yeah.
It's
I
a
think
really...
the player with the most diagonal back I've ever seen taking
Yeah.
a throw. So it makes it just look weird. Well, carried forwards here by Kira Wild. Shifts it to Captain, ball into the box, and that's cleared away. Ale then flicking it over her shoulder, back to Carpenter. And now here's Cuthbert. Walsh back towards the run of Ellie Carpenter. And that will trickle out off a Leicester player for a Chelsea throw.
Better from Chelsea.
Yeah.
Moving it quicker in this second half. And Leicester are finding it difficult to get out.
Carpenter into Beaver Jones in the penalty area. Flicked over her shoulder. Back to Cuthbert now, and her cross is blocked. T-Bow gets it away. Leicester have got 7 players in the penalty area now.
Yeah.
That's exactly where Chelsea want them. Walsh. Berman. Well, I think they need to drag them out a little bit because there's no space in there to actually play football. Here's Thompson, wants to take on Payne. Nice control now, looks to burst past it, does well. Ball into the box, that's over here. Headed back towards goal. Not a bad header from Cuthbert. Leipzig gets up to it well, but that was a glimpse there of what we can see from Alyssa Thompson. Just wants to square up to the fullback and take her on. She shimmies inside and then bursts out wide, and Payne just can't keep up with her.
It's exactly what we spoke about at half-time, how Leicester were doing well to win the battles in the wide areas and force the ball centrally. But Alyssa Thompson's come onto this football pitch and has, is winning the battle in the wide area up against Payne. And I tell you what, at this rate, we're going to see a contribution from Thompson because she is causing Payne a lot of issues.
Yeah, pain.
A lot of pain. That's a good one, that one. Erin Cuthbert down here for Chelsea. That's a little pause in play. But, yeah, it's been... Leicester are just struggling a little bit. And they need to find a way to get out. And we spoke about this initially in the build-up, where if Everton did get an opportunity today, have they got or if they do get bogged down, will they then get the opportunity to get it out? Have they got the players on the pitch to get them out? And I look at Kane next dot here, and they're not what you need. They're not transitional players. Kane's not too bad. She's pretty quick, but they're not going to hold the ball up and then get you in behind. If this is where you need Mushan and Rantala, and if they're fit, surely you bring them on for the next half hour. Yeah. Because while you are sitting defensive, if you can afford to now bring on Mushan and Rantala to work up together as a front two, then I think that will help Leicester massively just to get the ball out and to relieve a bit of pressure.
Another goal in Brighton, West Ham. Which way has it gone, Harry?
Got to be Brighton, surely.
That's correct. Brighton 3, West Ham 1. Rosa Kafaji with what's described by Phil as a lovely strike. What's described by Shams as, oh my God, Galazzo Kafaji.
Wow, that must have been a good goal.
Must have been.
But good to see Kafaji. That's exactly what Brighton do. They are playing very, very well.
Rosa Kafaji finally gets to play football and gets a goal on the pitch.
She's good. Wow. Who would have thought it, hey? Cuthbert's all right to continue, back underway.
Here's Payne. To Gaiman. Now Burayel. Leicester looking to progress the ball. McLaughlin. Lifting it over the top. Touched down well by Kane. Berman wins it back. And now here's Hamano. In towards Captain. Turned over well. And Leicester will look to drive it forwards here. Van Egmond leading the forward charge. Out to the left-hand side. Slightly overhit to Yuli Tebow, who stepped up here for Leicester as a forward. Wants to take on Bjorn. Bjorn deals with her well, though. And then Bright clears it away. And that is into the local housing estate near Kingsmeadow.
Yeah, that is cleared and then some. Yeah, West Ham again, caught in their own corner. Oh, what a goal that is. What a strike from Kafaji.
I missed the goal of the century, apparently.
Brilliant from Aguimang to turn it over high up the pitch. Just plays it to Kafaji, and it's from a crossing opportunity, but she's definitely gone for goal. What a strike that is. But West Ham again, caught in their own third.
Leicester coming forward. Shot from range for that one. Very high and wide.
That was almost as far as Millie Wright's clearance from T-Bab. Did well to step onto it, but just got under it, leant back, and that was gone very far, very wide and very high. But again, Leicester just doing well. Listen, when Leicester are out, they're doing well. It's just when they get bogged down, they really start to struggle. But if they can keep the ball in the middle of the pitch, then they've been very competitive. But it's once that ball gets into their own third, they start to struggle a little bit.
Yeah, here is Kyman. They will let that relieve the responsibilities of the throw-in to Payne. And we'll cut to Rick Passmore instead, who is doing some drawing by the looks of it. Bit of doodling on the sidelines.
Do you know what? That is old school management. Pen and pad out, scribbling notes down. Meanwhile, Bompastor's over there with earplugs in, with a tablet, on the phone, talking to people. Rick Passmore's on the other bench, just writing things down.
Getting his glasses on so he can have a little write stuff on a pad.
But I love how both
putting pressure on Kyman. Kyman does really well to see her off physically. And then a floated ball up the line. Bright will get there but can't keep it in touch. And Leicester can use this now. Kane throws it towards Eriksdottir. And Bright will try and see it out. Eriksdottir running it out of play. And that's out for a Chelsea goal kick.
Really well defended from Millie Bright. Eriksdottir's got to be stronger there. But the Chelsea captain does well. Stands firm and just bullies Eriksdottir off the ball.
Yeah. And Chelsea looks play out now. We hit 60 minutes, so I think it won't be long until we see some more changes. Leicester yet to make any substitutions. Chelsea with 2 made so far.
And it's going to be vitally important because, as I said, it's the kind of thing where a Sam Kerr and a Gura Wrighton changed the game, but so did Musha and Rantala. So it's timing is everything as well. Leicester don't want to leave it too late to go for it because that you don't want to risk Chelsea then being 2 up before you even get a chance to go for the game.
Bjorn beats 2 players well, tries to play it inside, but can't get there. Now Leicester will look to play. Tierney back to Cayman. Headed away well by Carpenter. And here's T-Bow. There's an offside call in there.
Leicester really know how to play against Chelsea, don't they? Well, I know they did lose 8-0 a couple years back, but last couple results have been pretty close between the two sides.
Here comes Vika, captain. Well, she's brought down there. That's a really good drive forwards. And yeah, T-Bow caught out.
I think T-Bow will run away from the referee very, very quickly.
Already on a yellow card. That they're running the risk.
Does well. Gets back into position. No arguments to be had.
She's pretty much sprinted off.
Yeah. Almost looks made her look more guilty. Chance for Chelsea to pile some more pressure onto the Everton penalty area. Next goal is absolutely crucial. If Chelsea go 2-0 up, then that is game over. You feel. But the longer Leicester hang in there, it's going to get tighter and tighter as we close out.
Aaron Cuthbert over this, floating it in towards the penalty area, headed away well. And now Leicester will look to break. Walsh putting pressure on the attacking McLaughlin. And McLaughlin runs out of play while dragging Walsh back, and she gets some choice words from the Chelsea midfielder, as does the referee.
Really well defended from Walsh. Won the pace and the strength battle there.
Bright lifts it in behind, looking for the run of Alyssa Thompson. It'll be hard pressed to get there, but she almost does. Fast reactions from the cameraman there to avoid taking a ball to the camera or face.
Plenty of thinking, you feel, for Bompastor on that touchline.
Yeah, I think that she would have wanted to be further ahead in this game by now with a second or third goal. Leipzig now from this goal kick.
Leipzig probably the reason that Chelsea haven't got that second or third goal. But again, she hasn't been tested in the second half.
No, second half has definitely been Well, it's an interesting one because there was the Cuthbert header, which forced a good save. If Beaver Jones puts her effort on target, then that's probably a goal, given the range. But yeah,
What a drive.
The last 5 minutes, they've struggled to create chances, Chelsea. Hampton. Out now to the right-hand side. Here's Bierman. Not Bjorn, sorry. Now it's with Hampton, and that'll be played across to Villa Berman. Lovely touch. Now she can look for the forward pass. Tries to be too cute, trying to find Beaver Jones. It's turned over, but Chelsea win it back quickly. Now Bright. And here's Vika Captain. Carpenter, nice control. Back to Nasty Bjorn. Here's Walsh. Carpenter. Bjorn. Back now to Ellie. Carpenter wants to go up the line. Wants to go back to Bjorn instead. Now Millie Bright. Walsh. Turns nicely. Wants to play a forward pass. Finds Captain. One back in there by McLaughlin. Van Egmond round the corner into Tierney. Lovely play. And they look to come down the right-hand side now. Payne, though, unable to beat Alyssa Thompson. Forced backwards into Kyman. Pass into Kane. But she's forced backwards by Berman. Now they look to play down the left-hand side. T-Vow. Van Egmond can't bring that under our control. And Chelsea will look to play now. Bjorn into Hermano. Slightly beyond her. She brings it under her control. And then she's brought down in a heavy tackle. Here come Leicester. Ale. Can she make something happen? Good tackle from Millie Bright. Now Ale again. Chance now for Eriksdottir. Shot on target. Leicester's first of the game. And the first opportunity where Chelsea were opened a little bit.
Yeah, well worked that from Leicester. Really good move. It was a great tackle on Hermano. It was a very firm one that did leave Hermano on the deck, but nothing wrong with it. It was legal. Well worked this between Ale and Eriksdottir, who does well to wriggle. Gives herself half a yard in the penalty area and gets a shot goalwards. And it's a shot on target. And that is something for Leicester to work with. Did take 65 minutes.
Carpenter sends it forward. Beaver Jones can't quite get there with the header. But Leicester are just starting to get a little bit more confidence and belief in this game. Here is Janice Kyman. Now T-Vow. Now to the left-hand side as Mita Ale. Back to Van Egmond.
They're moving it nicely, Leicester. They're just getting a foot on the ball now.
Yeah. Now Payne under pressure from Thompson. And that's knocked out of play. May have taken a flick off Thompson, though. So that'd be another Leicester throw-in.
Just don't notice it got worse. It's just got a bit flat. There doesn't seem to be a buzz or aggression about the performance. And while Leicester are being very combative, Chelsea don't seem to be matching that level at the moment. In the last 10-15 minutes anyway. Changes are coming though, because the fourth official is readying herself with her board.
So for which side?
No idea.
We'll find out. Here's Fiona Verman, and it's Sam Kerr for Chelsea. Looking for a bit more of a focal point.
Yeah.
Of the attack. Someone that can hold the ball up. Thompson does well there just to see Kane out, and that's a Chelsea throw, and Kane would be lucky to just kick that away. But I think that the fact their subs will probably save her there.
And the fact there's 4 balls stood along that side there.
Change coming for Chelsea then. It's Sam Kerr on for Vika Captain. We saw Kerr back from injury last weekend, but today her return to Kingsmeadow. Difficult afternoon for Vika Captain. Hasn't really been able to impact the game in the way she would have wanted to. And Kerr now on in her place. So this going to look a lot more like a front two, you'd assume.
Yeah. And an opportunity now for Kerr to be back in front of the home fans and to make a difference, because Chelsea do just need to get a stranglehold back on this football match. Bringing Sam Kerr on usually helps doing that.
Beaver Jones, lovely link up. Here's Kerr, holds it up well. Not sure she's looking forward with that pass though. And now she'll have to recover back to make up for it as Leicester come forwards. Good tackle from Cuthbert. Here's Bright. Now Beaver Jones, who carries it well. Tierney tries to hack her down, but can't. Beaver Jones driving forwards well, tries to slide it through, but it doesn't quite come off. But that front two could be very dangerous.
I'm not sure that was the right pass there. And whether she was always looking to play Sam Kerr in behind, potentially.
Phila Berman, that's a great tackle. Knocks it out of play.
But yeah, great drive from Beaver Jones. Did so well to skip past 2 players. Maybe just forced it a little bit towards Sam Kerr and could have gone alone, used the run of Kerr as a decoy. Which is crazy because it is Sam Kerr. But yeah, it just felt a bit forced.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Big 20 minutes now, though. Because I have no idea how this game's going to end. I really don't. Because Leicester are certainly making Chelsea work for it. But, as we saw there, Chelsea are still, of course, very threatening.
Pass inside. Cuthbert tries to make the tackle. McLaughlin. Flicked high by T-Bow into Ale. Van Egmond putting it up in the air, and Hampton's out well to collect it. And she'll roll it out now to Carpenter. Pass down the line. Here's Hamano. Poked on to Kerr. Carpenter. Bjorn. Back to Millie Bright. Walsh. Back to Bright. Now here's Bjorn. Pass down the line to Hamano. Carpenter. Lovely give and go. Second pass just doesn't quite come off there. Now it's back to Erin Cuthbert. Bright. Into Berman. Thompson. Lovely turn from Beaver Jones. Forward pass. Into Walsh. Nice turn. Here's Berman. Beaver Jones can't quite keep that under her control. Now Leicester will look to break. She recovers back well. That tackle. Bit intrigued to see what the referee made of it.
But it didn't. I don't know what it's been given as. It's either
terrible camera angles.
Yeah. It's either a Leicester throw or a Leicester free kick. Right. Yeah, I think that's the right decision.
And the Leicester throw on this near side. 20 minutes to play. Cleared forwards by Janice Kamen. That's Kamen. Here is Burrell. He wants to carry it forwards. Pass now out wide to Yuli Tebow. Into Van Egmond, who look to try and go back to Tebow. And just about found the pass. Here's Burrell down the line. One back by Carpenter. And Chelsea can use that now. Here is Erin Cuthbert. Ball into the box. Kerr tries to get it under her control, but can't quite. It's just behind her. Wrong choice from Cuthbert. Walsh wins it back. Here's Bjorn. Back to Walsh. Pass now to Micah Hamano. Now Carpenter. T-Bow. That's how to play for a Leicester throw.
Smart defending that from T-Bow. But Chelsea just seem to have woken up a little bit. Kingsmeadow seems to have woken up a little bit as well. But that's what Sam Kerr does to your football team and to your fans. Coming forward a lot more, getting a foot on the ball now.
Here's Alyssa Thompson. Passes it on to Beaver Jones. Back to Thompson. Back to Aggie. And now it's Thompson. Let's go back to Beaver Jones. It's just rushed and misplaced, and Beaver Jones wasn't ready for it. Now out of play for Payne.
Very good performance today from Payne. Probably one of her best we've seen over the last year or two.
Yeah, that was really solid. Berman. Back now to Bjorn. And Chelsea, last minute, just really getting a foot on the ball.
Yeah. Exactly what they need to do. It's not necessarily threatening, but it's just controlling it now.
Yeah.
It's similar as if Chelsea have the ball, Leicester can't score.
Right out to the right-hand side. Carpenter can't quite get there. Ale heading it out of play, though. And Bjorn in no rush to take it. And it's back now to Hampton. Bright. Berman. Turned over by Leicester. Beaver Jones can't quite keep hold of it. Ale loses out. Bright with the header. That would look like an elbow from Eric Stott here. Really Bright, though. Not bothered. Gets back up. Gets on with it. Walsh. Here's Nassi Bjorn. Now Carpenter. Bjorn. Back now to Hampton. Walsh. Holds it up well. Bjorn. Back to Walsh. Wants to switch the play. That's a lovely ball into Alyssa Thompson, who brings it down well. Shifts it onto her right foot. Wants to come inside. Here's Erin Cuthbert. Now Walsh. Drilled out to the left-hand side, and Thompson can't quite keep that under her control. Should do better there, Thompson.
Yeah. She looks sharp. She looks really sharp, but raw as well.
Of course, I never thought I'd be the one defending Chelsea on a Chelsea game chat. Strange day for me. Yeah. One of those, isn't it? Jutta Rantala on for Leicester City. Our first return to action in a while. She played the first 3 games last season. We haven't seen her since.
It's been a long time coming. Finally, Leicester may have a player who can start putting the ball into the back of the net. Consistently, that is.
Yeah. Poked ball through, looking for Hermano, and now Leicester could break. Here's Ale. Not the ball up well. Now it's the left-hand side with Tibar, who's overlapped her. Ball in. Header wide of the mark by Eric Stott of Van Egmond in there.
Again, popping up in the right areas, Van Egmond. Another good ball in from Ale, who, for me, has had a brilliant game. But I tell you what, could she potentially do better with that header? It's actually really good defending from Alyssa Thompson, who gets back in there and does well. But more thinking on the Leicester bench for Passmore and his coaches, because they all sense they've got an opportunity. They are right in this football match at the moment.
Yeah, just based on the fact it's still 1-0, there's always a chance if you can nick a goal. They haven't really had the opportunities to put the ball in the back of the net, but
I'd say second
the
half,
game hanging in the balance a little bit.
Neither side has threatened second half. Leipzig and Hampton are having a great time.
Walsh, ball in behind. Kerwell looked to put pressure on it. Yeah, Chelsea came out fine, but last 10-15 just looked to conserve a bit more.
It's in 3 shots in the whole of the second half. It's neither side. Again, I spoke about that scrappy midfield element of the game. It's where the ball's been.
Poor pass there from Berman, who just got caught. And Leicester have an overload. Poked forwards. Here's Rantala. Can she make something happen? Clip ball in. Berman does well. And Amano deals on the edge of the box. Thompson gets it clear. Here's Beaver Jones, who should just drive forwards with this ball. Goes out to Carpenter. Now looks to switch the play with a pass out to the left-hand side. Thompson cushions it nicely. And the game is brought to a halt due to a head injury.
It is a head injury that's been missed for a while. It was a really good move from Leicester, and they probably should have pounced on it more. They won the ball back out the pitch, got it to Rantala, who just seemed to stand on it a bit. And I have a funny feeling it may be one of those head injuries that isn't really a head injury. Let's watch the incident. McLaughlin goes up with Hermano, comes back down. Oh, to be fair, she does actually hit her face on the floor. But, yeah, maybe it is. But yeah, I think was it Berman who gave the ball away there? Got away with one a little bit. Hampton and McLaughlin laughing about it, because I think Hampton probably feels that it weren't. It was a bit of a dodgy one, that.
Yeah, no. Wasn't a whole lot in it.
Definitely wasn't a foul, but Chelsea will get the ball re-dropped to them in the Leicester half. And again, an opportunity for Leicester to get the final instructions in. Big 10 minutes now for both sides. Leicester sensing an opportunity to grab a point from this game. Bompastor wanting to make sure that her side hold on, really.
Again, though, that breakaway is all about decision making. I think Beaver Jones slowing it down, go back out to Carpenter. I mean, it still could have worked out from that cross ball to Thompson, which she brought down nicely. But, yeah. It'll be a Chelsea drop ball deep in the Leicester half. But obviously now Leicester have significantly more defenders back. So they'll all take up their positions. And here is Thompson. He wants to take on Heather Payne. Has to go backwards into Bierman. Lovely from Walsh back out wide now to Thompson. Lovely footwork. Payne steps in well and then hacks down Thompson. That's a nasty challenge. And that will probably be a yellow card.
Yeah, one of those for Payne where when she commits for the tackle, the ball's there to be won, but it's really good from Thompson. Just gets her body in between Payne and the ball. So when Payne does dive in, just ends up taking out Thompson. It's really smart from Alyssa Thompson. Does so well. And Payne hacks her down. Another yellow card for a player in a Leicester shirt and an opportunity for Chelsea to try and get someone on the end of this free kick.
Yeah, so it's Erin Cuthbert over this one. And Chelsea do have a lot of height, a lot of threat from these situations. And Cuthbert going very wide of the ball, I think, just looking to try and scoop it in towards the penalty area. Not a bad ball, you need a Leipzig with a good claim though. And they'll look to play out. Leipzig. Kyman, Payne, Tierney flicked round the corner. Thompson recovers it well. Into Walsh now. Bierman. Bjorn. Back now to Bright. Here's Bierman. Walsh. Back to Fiona Bierman. You can play it forward pass. Tries to pick out Sam Kerr. But Burrell steps up well. And now here's Tierney. Playing that ball in behind. Eriksdottir has gone way too early. And that was as obvious offside as you're going to get.
Yeah. I think she'll be a little bit frustrated because when she made the initial run, Tierney, just wasn't sure at playing it and held on to it a second longer. And by that point, Eriksdottir was 2-3 yards offside. That ball either had to go earlier from Tierney or not at all. She waited too long and then decided to play it once the opportunity had already gone.
So, ball back to Millie Bright. Now out to the left-hand side. Here's Bierman. And it's now with Hannah Hampton. So 8 minutes to play here. Score remains Chelsea 1, Leicester City 0. A little bit tighter than Chelsea would want it to be. Just feels like things haven't quite clicked yet for Chelsea this season in the attacking third. 3 goals last weekend, 2 in the opener.
And it's the manner as well.
But you would have wanted 4 perhaps today, 3 or 4. Ball down the line, Thompson can't quite get there.
I thought obviously the City goals were very, very good. I thought that obviously the Villa goals, that Sam Kerr's coming on late on, made it look a lot more convincing than it was. More changes then for Leicester City.
No, it's going to be the end of the game for McLaughlin. And Rosella Ayane onto the field. A late move for her. She left Tottenham on a free transfer in the summer. Didn't find a club until towards the end of the transfer window. And Leicester picked her up on a free.
Yeah, fresh start, and I hope it works out for it.
Lovely turn from Maggie Beaver-Jones, who bursts away from Sam Tierney well. Tries to pass it out to Hermano, but it's under hit. And Hermano can't get there. Eriksdottir. The slightly unconventional pass out wide. Here's Ayane. And she goes down there, heave
clumsy.
and that. Yes, poor Melly Carpenter.
Doesn't need to dive in there at all. Ayane had stopped and Carpenter just brings her leg back and takes her legs from underneath her. Doesn't need to do that. That's a really clumsy tackle. Sharp from Ayane. Bit more of an attacking change. Swapping her out from McLaughlin and Leicester. Really going for it now. Rantala on Ayane on. And now a chance to get the ball back into the penalty area. Now, they must have one of the worst successful crosses ratio that I've seen in a while, because none of these free kicks have really landed at their intended target, because they've all gone to the back post, and I get the idea is to swing it in and then cut it back, but you've got 4 players there, all stood in the middle of the box, but this is going to go towards the back post again, 100%.
We'll see. Well, we'll have a pause here because the referee wants to go and talk to players about pushing. Oh, it's only a slight delay. We'd have a full conversation. So the ball laid short. Here's Janice Kyman takes aim, and it doesn't penetrate the bodies in front of goal. Here's Ale under pressure from Thompson, goes back to Leipzig. Thompson will keep the pressure on, and Leipzig will look to flick it out to the left-hand side. Here's Tebow, just about gets it under her control. Carpenter with a good tackle. Now it's Erin Cuff, but lifts it out to the left-hand side to find Sam Kerr, who's made the run wide. Looks to just play in Beaver Jones, but it's slightly overhit. Another goal in the other game, and it goes the way of Brighton. Marissa Ollislagers adding to the tally. Nadim Nordam with the assist. And it's Brighton 4, West Ham 1.
Oh dear.
Indeed. Double change coming for Chelsea now. Aggie Beaver Jones makes way for Johanna Ritting at Carnareed. And this will likely be a change to the shape as Fiona Berman makes way for Guro Wrighton. So Chelsea moving to a 4-2-3-1. Centre back off, winger on. Chelsea looks to try and find another goal in this game.
Not sure about that one. You're 4 minutes out from seeing the victory through. Do you really need to change shape and go for the game?
Is it a case of attack is the best form of defence?
Potentially.
It's 2-1 in the last game. They brought on Sam Kerr and it's 3-1.
True. I'm not saying that Chelsea should throw defenders on and put, just like park the bus, but I don't know. I'm not sure on that.
Ball in behind. Bright slightly misjudges it, does well to recover. Now here is Ale. Flipping the ball forwards. Carpenter wins the header. Still in play. Tebow lets it go. It's offside call in there anyway on Rosella Ayane. And we'll see a clip of that Brighton goal now. And there's another one you feel the keeper probably should do better with.
Yeah,
to be honest.
Straight down middle of the goal. Probably should save that. But Brighton are excelling, showing their quality once again, and West Ham, more pressure starts to build on the Hammers. Also, a lot of people were protesting yesterday about the men's side and the overall running of the club. Well, I have to say, it's not going well in either the Premier League or there was pressure building on Ryan Skinner as well, you feel.
Forward pass from Tierney, and it's going to bounce through. And a chance now for Leicester. Here's Payne. Cuts it back to Eriksdottir, back to Payne. Here's Ayane down the line into Hlyn Eriksdottir. Back now to Ayane. Ball in towards the box, but it's into the crowd instead.
Hampton flicks it away. I wonder if she'll get away with that one. She could claim a poor touch, but quite smart that from Chelsea's goalkeeper. Ball gets thrown back to her from the cloud and she flicks it away.
Launched forwards by Hampton. And headed out by Janice Kyman. And Chelsea progressing the ball now. So it's Guro Wrighton at left back. And then Melissa Thompson playing at left wing. Now. Wrighton down the line. Wants to find Sam Kerr. Tries to keep the ball in touch. Can't quite manage it. Natalie, welcome to the stream, saying tuning in to hopefully see some nice goal difference in the bag, and so it's a razor thin margin, and the chat is calling for Bompastor's head. Yeah.
I mean, that is mental, by the way.
Oh no. Janina Leipzig sends it forwards. Flicked on by Cayman. Can't keep it in touch. That's out for a Chelsea throw.
Not to disrespect anyone, but your side are winning. You can't ask your manager to be sacked after an invincible season, and you're currently winning.
That's with 5-0 Leicester. Calling for Bompastor's head is still just absurd to me. But there we go. Leicester coming forwards. Here is T-Bow back now to Burayel.
Intrigued to see how many minutes get added on.
Brought down by Bjorn. Here's Bright. Now it's Carpenter. Ball down the line. It's headed away. And then Cuthbert sends it forwards. Ball down the line. Held up nicely by Ale. Will be forced back now to Van Egmond. Back down the line. There's 6 minutes to be added on in this game. Burayel passed across to the right-hand side. Tierney brought down there by Walsh. A fairly innocuous one. And that will be a yellow card preventing the counter-attack.
Yellow card counter is ticking up in this football match. Yeah, a pretty obvious one that from Walsh. Pulled Tierney back. And Leicester a chance once again to put pressure on Chelsea's penalty area. Although the free kicks today have been pretty poor. They've either gone to the back post and not worked, or the one we saw a minute ago where the ball got drilled to Yanis Kaiman, who just, I don't really know what she did. That's a better ball. Floated
up in the air, Bright heads away. Here is Yuli. T-Bow from range. Good save from Amsa. Reaction over the bar from Van Egmond.
That should be 1-1.
And that's a great chance for Leicester City to equalise.
Whoa.
But there's an offside flag up anyway. Van Egmond would have been off.
Wow. Wow. What an effort this is. Yeah, she's offside. But what an effort that is from T-Bow. Off the crossbar. Van Egmond fires over. There's a Yarne who just hooked it up. Was it a save from Hampton? Didn't see because it cut off at the top of the camera. What a rubbish angle.
Thompson does well to win the ball high at the pitch here for Chelsea. Now brings Wrighton into play. Back to Thompson. Back to Guro Wrighton. Lovely give and go. Drives forwards now. Ball across the box. And it's cleared away. Here's Thompson. Finds Walsh to Hermano. Flicked round the corner into Thompson. Holds it up nicely. Now Walsh. Lovely footwork in there, Bjorn. Here's Carpenter. He's going to strike it from range, and that takes a deflection. No, it doesn't. Just rolls through. Not a bad effort, just wide of the mark. And that's out for a Leicester goal kick. It's getting warm in the studio now. With that effort, it's a great save from Hannah Hampton pushing up onto the crossbar.
Does really well.
Here is T-Bow under pressure from Hermano. Ball clipped forwards. Now dropping there for Ellie Carpenter. Now Carnereid. Hermano tries to play it around the corner and can't. Back now to Carpenter. Here's Millie Bright. Bjorn. Wrighton. Pass down the line into Alyssa Thompson. And Wrighton tries to pass it back there to Walsh. Cuts out. And it's out for a Chelsea throw-in.
Chelsea just got to retain the ball for the next 2.5 minutes. Kira Walsh has been given Barclays Player of the Match. I suppose, yeah. It's a difficult one because I don't really know who you give Player of the Match.
I would give it to Villa Berman. Just phenomenal. Don't think she put her foot wrong. She won pretty much every duel, looked composed on the ball. I thought she was excellent today. WSL debut and looked, flawless.
Yeah, so I think it's one of those where you need one for either team because for me, the losing team, I think Leipzig is in with a great shout, and I thought Ale has been superb. So yeah, but also obviously Beaver Jones got
7
the goal.
saves for Janina Leipzig.
And especially when you consider how good some of those saves were. They weren't just catches or
that's the thing. People look at this game, so Chelsea haven't scored their chances, and United won their game against Leicester 4-0. But in that match, there were saves Janina Leipzig should have made.
And it's the ratio of shots to shots on target. It's incredibly high from Chelsea.
Yeah. Here's Walsh, Hamano. Now Cuthbert. Lifted in behind, looking for Sam Kerr. Great touch. Tries to shift it past the defender. There's an offside call in there, though. Hamano won't let them take it quickly and could pick up a yellow card for that. She escapes the book. Here's Van Egmond. Back now to T-Bout. 70 seconds left in this match. Ball played down the line. Bjorn wins the header. She'll let Bright get there and keep it in touch, and she clears it away well. Ball bouncing around. Walsh wins it. Thompson now drops in there for Walsh. Tierney will get there though. Now back to T-Bow. Ale. Back to Burayel. She's not looked bad to be fair since the goal. So that's Burayel.
Yeah, very true.
I think T-Bow's had a good game. Leicester have just done really well defensively.
Yeah. This does not look like the Leicester side that turned up in Game Week 1 and Game Week 2.
No, I think that's the other thing. Passmore's...
It's what a win does.
To be fair, even last time out against Liverpool, it's the same situation as this game where they didn't have many chances. They only had one shot on target. They've only put 2 shots on target in this game. But they were defensively really difficult to break down.
Yeah.
Chelsea throwing on this near side as we tick over the allotted additional time. Leicester Thompson frustrated that she wasn't able to make anything happen there.
Yeah, slip from Payne, gifted possession to Thompson, who probably should have done something with it. But yeah, it does look. This is probably that will be that once we get back going with 2 or 3 Leicester players requiring treatment across the board here.
Natalie makes a great point saying last season Leicester held Chelsea to a draw and Chelsea went on to have an invincible domestic season. There we go. Well, that is full-time here victory at time for the Blues. Chelsea won, Leicester City 0. Not the most convincing performance, but 3 points. And Chelsea maintain a perfect start to this campaign. 9 points from 3 matches. But yeah, not a whole lot else to say on that. Leicester, a much better performance from them than what we saw in match week 1. They made life very difficult for the reigning champions. Chelsea, far from perfect. But did well to get the result.
Exactly that. Leicester worked very, very hard and made Chelsea put in a lot of effort to get that result across the line. It was a fast start, and from then Chelsea just didn't really kick on, but they got the job done. And it's exactly what we say. It's what champions do. Get the job done, and it wasn't a perfect performance, but the perfect start to the season continues. And what it does do is puts a lot of pressure on the 2 teams that are to follow us this afternoon. Because whoever doesn't get the result out of Man United or Arsenal will already fall behind Chelsea and their opposition in that game. So,
well, that's the thing. I think a key takeaway from this is after 3 matches, Chelsea have played 2. One side you expect to be in the top 4, one side you expect to be in the top 6, and a lesser side that we know Chelsea struggle to break down low blocks sometimes. So they should have been better, but it's still a victory, and they will put themselves 3 points ahead of Manchester City. They'll be ahead of definitely one of United or Arsenal. If that's a draw, they'll then have a gap to both of them. So, yeah, it's one of those early days in the season. Not concerned. And yeah, Chelsea, another 3 points on the board. Move on to next week where they face a West Ham side who have been incredibly poor to start the season. And that is one where Chelsea will definitely want to score more goals. I mean, Brighton with 4 today. How many was it that Arsenal got 5? And even Tottenham won. So... yeah, Chelsea will definitely look at that game as one where they should be getting a few more goals. But yeah, they're very impressive from Leicester. So I think Passmore can be very proud of how they performed because they made life very difficult for Chelsea. But yeah, move on to next week. That is everything for this match. We are back in 35 minutes time for the big game today. Manchester United face Arsenal. It's going to be an incredible game of football. Join us for that. But if you can't wait and you've got 35 minutes where you don't know what to do yourself, go and check out some of our recent videos. Yesterday, or Friday, sorry, we did a video looking at Yui Hasegawa, so if you're interested in that analysis, go and check that out. If you don't know about the new Champions League format, go and check that out. Or go to the week before, we've got 2 videos on Chelsea to go and check out. So if you've got 35 minutes, go and watch something and join us back here for the next game. But join us for United Arsenal at 25-3. A very weird time, but there we go. That's WSL scheduling. That is everything from us today. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time.